Hey y'all, welcome back to the TSR podcast. I am you, and today we're bringing a special guest. It's actually Chris from the Bagocast. He's going to join us today in this momentous occasion because we want to, expand our horizons a little bit more. But yeah, that's besides the point. I'm Chris. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey everyone, this is Chris here. Like you said, I do Bagocast, and I'm trying to do other things like reviews and other fun videos, but ooh, baby, finals weeks of college, not fun.
Oh, that's rough, man.
This
is December is hell week.
Oh my gosh, I had to miss Thanksgiving because I had so much finals on me.
That's sad. That's sad, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Honestly, I'm not terribly sad about it, but
Anything else other than finals, man?
Oh, well, I recently have gone back into Warframe. I just realized how addicting that game can be.
I like that game a lot.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? It's fun. I don't mind the microtransactions. It's just a fun game. I get these new weapons that completely make my other weapons obsolete.
I'm pretty sure that the developers are being high regarded, because of the way they implemented microtransactions.
As a Warframe player, I can definitely confirm that microtransactions, while they're a little annoying, they're not egregious like some games you can see out there.
Warframe is like the only game I'm willing to support with microtransactions. The rest of the game so far, no. Mostly
it's also one of those.
Well,
that's it. It's one of those games that gets away with it because it's free, I think.
Yeah, not like other AAA budget games that have it. And I'm just like, nope, not buying you.
So,
I have one quick question. Do you do casual bongos or hardcore bongos on the Bagocast?
What the heck does that even mean?
What is that supposed to
Wow. and now he's never gonna come back because our member made fun of him. Good job, Ron.
Hey, it's what he said.
Off to therapy.
He called me a bongo cast, and I don't know what to do with my life anymore.
It is what he said, though.
He makes a mistake of calling it Bagocast.
Bagocast. Okay, Bango Bongo,
Honestly, I don't know whether to call it. Do I call it Bango or Bongo? How do you pronounce the website's name?
Is your website just a Donkey Kong villain? Like, come on.
I'm pretty sure it's called Bagocast, but
Bagocast?
Bango Bongo Bago. Who cares, man? It's all the same
I
thing.
just call it Bongo. That's what I say.
Paper or plastic Bago.
anyways, that person who made fun of our guest is none other than Legon. Legon, what has been up on your week, man?
The sky.
Oh,
Okay, and a non-dickhole answer.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, fine. You don't
That's the best I got.
I'll tell you guys this week. He played Final Fantasy 14 and did a fucking raid, and we looked at stupid screenshots last night. That's what he did. That's what he did for his week. I can tell you this week. That's sad.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Come on, you gotta have some variations other than that. Like, do you play any other games?
I did recently. I can't talk, first off.
Nate literally made fun of him for mispronouncing his view, and he can't even talk. Oof.
I did get into BB Tag earlier today, and it's like, man, I have a long way to go. Because I really suck right now.
What is it?
Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Oh, Blaze Blue Cross Tag. Is that the one with Ruby in it?
It has Ruby, Under Night,
Yes.
Inbirth, EXE latest, which is a mouthful, Blaze Blue, and Persona 4 Arena.
And don't forget Akatsuki Blitzcamp, Arcana Heart, and Senra Kagura.
These are the new ones, though. Those are the four main ones that it started out with.
Which, by the way, I made a review in Bagogames.com. You can check out my review on the links to the description. So,
Great
Yeah,
plug.
links in the description. Link you to Bango Cast.
yeah.
Oh, come on. It was the only name I could come up with.
The TSR Bango Bongo Cast is what we're now going to name this podcast. Very proud.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Wheat, how about you? What have you done in terms of gaming?
Well, general week, it was Thanksgiving last week, so I had some good food. Other than that, I pretty much been playing a lot of Outer Worlds. I got Outer Worlds for Black Friday, and I'm really, really digging that game. But there are some flaws with it. Like, it's definitely the best Bethesda type RPG that's come out in almost a decade. But at the same time, there are kind of its issues where the companion characters are kind of boring, and like lock picking, you don't even do like every game that has lock picking always says you do this nice little mini game. There's no harm to it, and then in Outer Worlds, you just kind of hold a button and then you just open it. It kind of sucks. But other than that, it's pretty fun. And then I've been getting back into Guilty Gear Rev 2 just to prepare for Strive next year, and that's fun and a little more dot hack. Just getting through all these games that take a lot of hours of just time crunch.
Yeah. At the very least, you'll be ready to get into another time crunch when Persona 5 Royal comes out, and
Yeah. And then we spend hundreds of hours on it.
Yeah.
And I'm playing that twice.
Anyways, last but not least, it's Zeus's time. What have you been doing this week besides getting bodied in Blaze Block Cross Battle?
Beyond that, I'm continuing my trek through Luigi's Mansion 3, and I started Super Mario Odyssey because I got that for my birthday. And
Nice. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Happy late birthday.
Happy
Thanks,
birthday.
Don't ever say that like that ever again.
Okay.
Oof.
So
He's really mad that you called him out on the Bagocast.
So I'm definitely loving Mario Odyssey. It's everything I thought it would be, and I just getting a lot of good vibes from my time with Sunshine, with Galaxy, with the 64. And obviously Luigi's Mansion 3 is definitely an underrated gem from Nintendo that I cannot stop gushing about. It's definitely
Underrated? I'm pretty sure a lot of people love it.
I don't know. I feel it's not getting as much attention as the other big Nintendo titles, but
Really?
Well, it is Luigi.
True. It is.
Yeah,
He's got a point, Yule. It really never. Luigi's Mansion never gets that much attention compared to like Smash Brothers or Mario Odyssey or all these other bigger Nintendo titles that come out throughout the year. Even Astral. I mean, like it fits into that weird part of the year where Astral Chain was a big deal, but then Luigi's Mansion is just kind of coming out, and other games like Fire Emblem Three Houses got more praise when that came out. Pokemon. It came out around a Pokemon game, and that's kind of sad because we all know which one is the better game.
Ooh, yeah.
clearly Luigi's Mansion 3's got the animations, the charm, the puzzles.
And it's also just a well-programmed game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was half expecting you to jokingly say Pokemon was the better game.
Look, guys.
I'm not even that disgusting.
Guys, we already riffed on the Pokemon Sword and Shield for 3 weeks in a row. How about we cut back on that?
How about we cut to riffing on Google Stadia for a second straight week?
Exactly. Let's
This is a dumpster fire.
let's listen to that. You thought that we were really nasty during the last week's podcast. Well, get a load of this one.
Google just wants to add gasoline to their own dumpster fire.
Yeah, basically.
The best comparison I can make to Google Stadia is like their Google Glasses.
That's a very interesting comparison because I was talking to my family about it just the other day, and I made that same exact comparison just because it felt so similar.
Yeah, because Google Glass is supposed to be this huge, innovative idea where you take the internet on the go with your glasses and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not sure how it was all I don't know if it was received well or not. I never got one because
they canceled it, pretty much. That'll tell you how much it was received. They brushed it under the rug and it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, wow.
Is that because it failed or because they stepped on the glasses?
It actually exists, but not for the public. Like it exists for enterprises and such.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is that didn't get much attention. This one here, I feel like it's not gaining much attention for good reasons.
Well, I think it's gained a lot of attention. It's just not in the good sense.
Yeah. It's people are more focused on the dumpster fire that it is more than its positive features it has.
And with that, we're gonna move to the first topic of discussion, which is the fact that Google Stadia is burning Chromecast Ultras.
Wait, what? Oh, is it really doing that?
Yeah.
Super Stadia users
According-
complain.
according-
Oh,
It's what it is. It's like it's over. Chromecast Ultra kind of heats up a lot when you're putting it into a lot of use anyway. And what the Stadia is apparently doing is that it'll overheat it as much when you're trying to play games on it because it's trying to run it at like 4K, 14,000p, you know, all the best settings on your computer or whatever you're using it on. So it's making your Chromecast Ultra just freak out because it's not used to that much of a technical push.
it bursts into flames. It's kind of symbolic of it.
Yeah, according to the reports that I have here, multiple stadias have literally shut down because of overheating, and there even is an account where the Chromecast literally didn't even last 10 minutes before it shut down
Oh.
from overheating.
Ooh, that's
Not even
really
10
bad.
10 minutes. Wow. I didn't even hear that part. Like, that's a wild. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Already
Yeah,
a safety
honestly-
hazard. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. And you know, when like some people say that when it works, Stadia works wonderfully, but the problem is that it's a wonderful
Not.
thing it's working.
It works 1% of the time.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like how people were defending like that Sonic Freeriders game. Where like, yeah, it works. Only 1/10 of people got it to work, so this doesn't really make it good.
And
That
I'm
was
in
the
that
Yeah.
1/10.
technology.
I mean, I can literally buy a flip phone from 2005, and I bet you it works. But yeah, it works. Doesn't mean it's the best thing you can get on the market right now.
It
Yeah.
works. They should put that in their little blurb on the box art or whatever. It works.
It works. Yeah, you guys should check out the Twitter account Google Stadia Works. It's
it's
such
Stadia
a Stadia Works. Okay, yeah, Stadia Works. Apologies.
Shout out to
Yeah,
that
and-
hardcore.
Yeah, because it's like I don't know if they're taking it seriously. I don't know if it's a troll account, but it's glorious. All them haters hate the Stadia, man. They'll all be laughing in 20 years when this is the way of the future.
From what
And
I'm
you haven't
hearing-
even seen his latest stuff, which I'm not gonna say here, because oh my goodness, it is amazing.
Check it out for your.
Yes, go check it out for yourself. Link in
From what
whatever the
from what
description is.
From what I was being told, like a lot of people were telling me that the reason why this account is so adamant is because it's actually an employee from Stadia. So
I would love that. I would love that. We're gonna have a podcast topic in a couple weeks if that ever gets out, like officially, or someone reports on it. Because
it's
man,
true. I hope it's true.
I know it's hilarious. It's like some Google employee has a burner account. It's like you see that in athletics all the time, but Jesus. My Google Stadia works. I paid so much money. I pushed for it so hard. My project better not fail.
I mean, I laugh at the idea that he says, "Yeah, I have a PC and a console, and I'm pretty sure like he plays more like the user in Stadia works just plays on those rather than on Stadia itself." But just because he uses they used it like 1 or 2 times, and it quote unquote works. That's pretty much that's pretty much the thing that sets things off, you know.
Mm. It's like that GIF of like we made fun of it last week, but it's still worthy. It's like the GIF of the guy who hits the space bar in the Washington Post office, and the guy jumps like 3 seconds later. Like, come on, that's such awful latency in a journalism office where it's gonna have the best internet you can buy. Period. So it's like the fact that gets you 3 seconds of latency in a jump in just an FPS game, and they put a fighting game on it. Like, come on.
I mean, I have a freaking 100 megabyte download and upload connection, so I pretty much have the connection of another journalistic office. It's at my home, so yeah. Yay me.
Yay me! My Stadia can run for 3 seconds of latency, just like yours.
Yeah, exactly. Even then, I wouldn't be
Shots fired.
confident
Here we go.
with that. Like, no, man. I know when something doesn't work, and that
Yeah.
pretty much is the case.
You say
You know, I'm
shots fired, but it's not shots fired to Yule. It's fucking Stadia is bad. Shots fired to Google.
I'm honestly surprised there has been no lawsuits yet about this.
Yeah, because that's another interesting detail. If you
Yeah,
want
like,
to
just,
transition
like,
us into
they-
another one.
Recently, they boasted like, oh, you can stream games in 4K and 60 frames per second. Well, first of all, it can only run the game for like 10 minutes before something bad happens.
Yeah.
And when it does run it, it's running at 10 frames, not 10 frames, 1080p, no, not
Upscaled.
2090p.
It's upscaled, yeah, isn't it?
It's off-scaled, and they were boasting, oh, you can play Red Dead Redemption 2 in 60 frames in 4K, and yet you can't do that. They said on launch day you can do that, yet no one can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that
No one can do that naturally. If it's upscaled, it's the equivalent of like if you run 60 miles for 1 second, you say, "Oh, I can run a 60-second mile run." It's like it's not how that works.
Yeah,
You know?
Exactly.
I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm surprised no one has lawyered up and sued Google for essentially false advertising.
I mean,
Yeah.
these things like misleading advertising can definitely be grounds for suing them, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure they will be able to sweep that under the rug because
Then, if it's not ready yet, they can't really fulfill their promise, and they should just push back the Stadia for like another year until it can fully deliver that
Yeah.
promise.
they're not going to do that. They are
Well,
not
it's like-
going to do that.
Yeah, and it's like with Google Glass, like you said. I think Google itself is just looking at this as another one of those like rinky-dinky. Oh, our intern came up with an idea projects, and we're just going to push it a little bit, but we're not really going to give it the space and room it needs to grow. I mean, like you said, they're not fulfilling promises. Well, like one of the biggest problems we talked about last week was the fact that people were pre-ordering the Stadia who were founders of the Stadia or pre-ordered it on other sites like Amazon and stuff, were given like an email saying that they put their pre-orders on hold, click this link to resolve it, and then the link itself just takes you to a "we canceled your pre-order" screen. So it's like they're literally shitting on people that spent money on this just because they didn't have enough and it wasn't ready.
The hell? Even the controller wasn't ready.
Yeah.
To me, that's a huge, big red flag. Can you imagine the PS4, Xbox One, or the Nintendo Switch? It came out, but the controls weren't ready yet.
Oh, there'd be a riot.
Well,
a lot of
the
people.
Switch has controller problems, but at least it works.
What
Oh, you
about the
can turn on the
drifting? What
Yeah,
about the
the drift,
drifting?
the drift is a core design problem, but at least it works. Like, it's,
What drifting? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
let's.
you're one to
hear
talk.
that story.
I know I am.
Yeah. You want to tell Chris the context of that story real quick?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short and brief, but essentially, I have 2 pairs of Joy-Cons that have no drift whatsoever, and I play Smash Brothers with them all the time. And the funny thing is, I have 2 broken Pro controllers. One has a broken shoulder button, and the other is in permanent drift. It's not the Joy-Con that gets drift, it's the Pro controller.
Isn't technology amazing, man?
Yeah, isn't Legon's luck incredible, man? Like, holy shit.
How do you even play the game then?
Yes.
With the Joy-Cons.
With the Joy-Cons, he plays Smash Brothers and doesn't get drift on his Joy-Cons. I played Mario Odyssey for like a couple months and it destroyed my left one. Like, come on, man.
God damn it.
Ugh.
I want to pity you, but I can't.
That's fair.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's like good with the Joy-Cons. So you should play Smash Brothers with us sometime and just see how he's like. You wouldn't think he plays with the Joy-Cons, but oof.
Yeah, like,
Oh well, but
little shameless thing here, like, I did actually beat a friend of Nero, so I'm not gonna drop the name of here, like, reliably
Yeah.
with them.
yeah, so it's
Joy-Cons.
crazy. The Joy-Cons. And they're still better than the garbage Stadia controller that also has
Yes, they
buttons
are.
that sink into the controller husk.
Really? That is.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems about the Stadia controllers, that the buttons
What?
will sink into the controller husk and you can't get them out.
I'm
just
gonna
work
be,
at
I'm
that
gonna be
point.
honest. I
It's
don't
pretty
like the
accurate.
controller's design. I don't like it. It's just very
Yeah.
boring to look at.
Oh yeah. It's
There's
like that
interesting
article said.
curve- It's like no
Yeah.
interesting curves on it, no sharp, nothing. It's just a flat design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they try
It's
to
like
promote it
that
as a
art-
gender neutral controller.
well,
what
we
the
made fun of that
hell does
last
that even
week.
mean?
But it's like another article we made fun of last week where it's like the headline was accurate in that, man, the Google Stadia controller feels like that piece of shit you gave your little brother back in the day. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It's like those old Mad Catsy third-party controllers, man.
Those
You know,
rock
if you took
candles.
off if you took off the label and handed it to me, oh, this is a PS4 knockoff brand controller, I would believe you.
Mm-hmm. What are you saying, Yul?
So yeah, besides that, the thing about the another thing that also makes Stadia kind of like horrible is the fact that you literally can only use your Google Pixel to buy those games, because remember,
Yeah.
you don't even get access to those games by paying the subscription. You literally have to buy them again.
That's so
that's
dumb.
one thing.
I don't see how anyone can be attracted to that.
Yeah, this story got updated in that now there's a way to get the app on any rooted Android phone, but that's a clarification of you have to root your phone to get the app. So it's only officially available still on Google Pixel phones only. So they really want you in that Spacer's Choice family. I mean Google family.
Wow.
Yeah. Not only do you have to buy the games again, you can only get the app on a Google product. Because why not?
Really dumb.
What is going on with Google? I really don't understand what's going on with them.
They're Disneyifying. They're monopolizing the world at this point. It's like they're trying to do the same thing Disney does to television and movies to technology. You know.
But the problem is that they're failing at it.
Yeah. I feel like Apple would have a little more clout to do something like this. But what were you saying?
Well, that's actually what was I going to say?
I feel you, man. Sorry, my bad.
It's fine. It's fine. I think I was going to say something about Disney. No,
Disney monopolizing the world.
Yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't have a problem with that if their products were good, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yep, another day.
Yeah,
that's a whole another podcast. If we really want to.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Disney Plus one day if we really wanted to, but you know, always on the table for something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. With Google, it's just, you know, I get that you want to get this out first. You want to be one of the first on the market so that you can monopolize it, like every greedy corporation loves to do. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But at least, you know, now your desire to do that is now giving Amazon a home run pitch, because they're going to try to do this and they're going to learn from every mistake that you made. So it's like now you just look like a bunch of embarrassing fools putting out something so undercooked and underdeveloped.
It's strange because Google. Continue to go.
Yeah, and you know who else did that back in the day, and that cost them dearly? Sega. Remember Sega and all their rushing to get their products out ahead of their time?
Ooh, that's a good comparison.
And that hurts. That hurts to say because I grew up. I'm a Sega kid.
We're all pretty much Sega fans in this room.
So
oof. That's a good comparison, though.
But it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I mean, the Dreamcast is still better. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Okay. That's fine. I find another interesting comparison would be the Xbox One. Because when that was first announced, it had like all these features, like you can't have pre-owned games, you gotta have subscription to play certain games, I believe, and you gotta have the Connect on all the time. Those are like features that people really did not like, so the sales dropped. Like that's why the PS4, even the Wii U was pulling ahead. Yeah, until they didn't start getting more sales until they removed those features. So I wonder if Google Stadia does something similar, would they get a boost in sales?
And now we're
that's an interesting theory.
But the thing is, like, even if Google tries to do that, it's already overshadowed by Project xCloud, which is ironically made by Microsoft. Like Microsoft is already, showing the best preview that you could ever imagine, with 3 times as many games on the launch. Yeah,
it gets boosted by the fact that it's going to be tied to your Game Pass, which already has it is the best Netflixy type game service out there that we have at the moment. So it's like Microsoft already benefited off of Google's failure here, and that they basically said, we're doing it and we're tying it to our best service, and we're not, it's going to be a subsidiary thing. Google's problem is that they're trying to make an entire console and their entire gaming presence off of something that I genuinely agree with other people who say it. I don't think this is something that's going to be the future of gaming. I don't think it's going to be, 10 years from now, everyone's going to be gaming on these services only, and it's going to be like the next Netflix. Netflix works because movies and TVs you consume once, and you can throw it away in your mind. And if you really like something, you either own it, or B, you can watch it again and again, and that's fine. But TV and movies are such consumable junk food products. It's like gaming is not as equally one-time use in a lot of cases. There's a lot of times where you're interacting more with your games. You're playing your games more often than you're watching TV or movies. You know?
Yeah.
I hear you. You can't just binge through everything and expect to enjoy the same way. Gaming, gaming, especially all the limitations that gaming brings upon. Like, I don't know if we touched on this, but I think last time we talked about it, like this thing's a data hog, it's a battery hog, it's a processing hog, and unless you have a dedicated tablet, but why do that when you can just play on your TV instead with much better services?
Yeah.
It just seems
Or,
like
just not get the thing because every single game they have on there is already on all consoles and systems.
Exactly. So
either pay a game for full price, $60.
Yeah.
So that's the best
just to stream it.
Features.
Yeah, and also another thing I find baffling is that they don't really have any eye-catching exclusives. At least the PS4 and Xbox One when they came out, at least some of their exclusives looks decent. Here they have nothing. Just reused, re-old.
As far as I know, the Stadia only has one exclusive, and it's an indie title.
Yeah, no offense to the indie title. It's just, to me, it's not a system seller. No offense to it.
Yeah. Well, no.
An indie is not a system seller unless it's something like Undertale.
Yep.
And even then, Undertales happen out of nowhere. An indie title is not an indie title if there's a ton of mega hype going into it, if you think about it. Indie titles are what they are because they have that groundswell, but it's also like, you're going to sell like 100,000 units, maybe close to 1 million if you're really, really good, maybe 1 million if you're like Undertale levels of solid, but you never see like an indie title getting pushed like a AAA game,
Well, actually, FNAF
Outer Worlds is the closest. Huh? FNAF?
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. That's getting a AAA budget game now.
Yeah, but it took a long time to get there, to be fair. I think the closest I've seen as an indie title that got pushed as a AAA title is ironically, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but like Outer Worlds is kind of that close margin of this is kind of and I'm playing and I feel like it's a AA experience. It's kind of an indie-like experience, but it's got a bigger budget than say like Undertale, Katana Zero, all these notable indie games.
What about Outlast though? That would count, right?
Indie and
I guess that's a fair comparison as well.
Indie and a lot of people tend to buy this just for the sake of the novelty, and will probably forget about it. Like
Speaking,
the Chromecast Ultra will literally go into
your TV, and you'll use it for like Hulu and Netflix. You're not going to use it for Stadia after it burns out.
Yeah.
Speaking of people buying it for the novelty, you want to tell us how many people have actually bought this according to the Google app numbers?
Yeah, I can tell you that. The Google Stadia app has been downloaded over 175,000 times. That's a really low number.
Yeah. First,
it's literally just the indie sales we were saying, by the way, for a console.
Oof. Yeah, that has to hurt.
Yeah.
Even so, then 170,000. That makes me disappointed. That's really less.
Yeah. That's true. But at the same time, I think that's kind of a fitting number because there's plenty of people that are just going to spend money on stupid shit that doesn't, like I think we've all in our lives bought in something we really don't need, but we're like, I kind of want it,
Yeah, I've done that.
Doing it with a console, though, is a little wild. Like,
those
like
consoles are expensive.
I've gotten bunk games before, but I've never I wouldn't have been the kid that got a Saturn back in the day when that came out, just for the novelty. I mean, I wish I would have because it's worth so much money these days, but, it's like when you look at it on a face value, if you get Google Stadia, you and I kind of jokingly bicker about like console versus PC in some regards. And even Yule can agree with me that it's like, if you're going to buy Google Stadia, just buy a console. You're getting the same thing for all the same games at cheaper values, and you're getting something that indefinitely works.
Yeah. I agree with that. Or you know what,
Yeah.
you can build a low budget PC and get the same results. So
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
agree with that. You might as well do anything other than getting the Stadia.
Ooh,
exactly,
don't.
like the price point is the thing I disagree the most with. Like, why isn't it an add-on for why isn't it an add-on for current generation Chromecast? Why isn't it a free service if you're going to have us buy the games again? Why isn't like
Yeah.
there's so much.
They have taken
There's,
so many mistakes. Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say this real quick. They've taken so many mistakes that you could do with a service like this. Like, there is, like you said, it's like, why isn't it just a service like Steam? You don't pay Valve a subscription to use Steam. You just buy the games off it, and they get a profit from every game, you know?
yeah, it's like, yeah, I like the idea. I mean, I like the idea of Stadia where you can take it on the go, play it since you're on almost anything, and get the same quality of AAA budget console games. But when I look at it, it's like it should have been a free service, or maybe subscription service like Netflix, where you have access to all these games.
Mm-hmm.
Or have it be like Steam, where you have access to this entire library, and when you buy the game, you forever own that game. Even if the service goes down, you can still access it.
Yeah.
With
I think,
Steam, if it goes down or you lose internet connection, you still play your game. It's just you're not going to have any achievement awards or whatever.
Yeah, or online capabilities. I can kind of agree with that. I think even another service that could be good is like if you want to do a little pricier of a service, do something like Game Pass, where you can download those games and you can get even access to newer titles, for a cheaper subscription service. It's just
There
there's
has
no
to be some-
excuses for Google's.
Yeah, there has to be some incentive for a new service like this to really deep into the market. Otherwise, it's just a blatantly bad cash grabbing alternative that only the fools would actually invest in. This isn't
Yeah, or
revolutionary.
people with money that they can light on fire and it wouldn't affect them in any way.
Yeah, but that pool only runs so deep. Even Disney, with their services right now, like they try and do the same thing, and right now they're getting a lot of negative feedback. So,
Right.
there's better
At least
ways.
They
There's
have
better
one
ways.
thing going for them. They have one good thing. That's that one Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. I can never pronounce his name.
Mandalorian.
Yes, that one. At least they have that going for them. At least they have that.
Yeah, that's true. And they do have the old Disney movies, but yeah, it's like we're just kind of hitting that point in society, man, where all these services are just starting to catch up with people because people are getting sick of it, man. I'm seeing a lot more casual folk, like even my mom who gets these services are starting to get like, what's the point of losing cable when you're just paying for all these different services?
Yeah.
Like
And
before,
it's splitting up.
before, like when Netflix was the only one doing it, it was actually a great alternative to cable. But nowadays, you literally have to pick into between various services, and
Yeah. And like
just take a
NBC is
gamble
going to
on
do
that.
their own, and Disney did their own, and it's like, even Hulu, which is not as good as Netflix, I don't mind the three of that. I use Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Netflix, and those are the three that I like. Amazon Prime for my international stuff. I like Hulu for more of the TV shows that I grew up with, and I like Netflix for the more of the original content. It's like, I want it to kind of stay that way. It's one of those tough things where I get people have to make money, but you're literally like, someone has to step in on that at some point, or
going
people
to
have
be,
to stop buying it.
It's going to be oversaturated soon.
Yeah. And it's like gaming moving into that fucking terrifies me because gaming is such a different beast than TV and movies. And it also costs a lot more than TV and movies, but it's worth that money if you find good games. And there are a lot of good games that have come out in recent years, but it's like if this service takes over, that's going to start changing a lot. And I don't like that.
Especially because the fact that you pretty much are kissing goodbye to the ownership of games with Stadia.
I do
You're
not like
basically-
that.
Like as soon as that service dies, there goes your games, bro. And
Yeah.
Bad investment.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, even physical games are already starting to have that kind of issue in a sense that it's like, you put in a disc and you have to download an update file, so we don't know what's going to happen yet when those servers shut down on those games. It's like, well, fuck, am I stuck playing? Yeah, am I stuck playing version 1 that has every single bug and it's unplayable, or it doesn't have any access to the newer content that they put into it? It's
or
like,
in the case of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, you literally only like
you own the update.
No,
that you
no,
can't
you only-
download.
No, you only get the training station.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
about it.
Really?
Yeah, and then they just download.
Yeah, yeah,
Training
you
stage
do
is the only thing that's on the
that.
disc in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or in Spyro's case, you only get like Spyro 1 with
That
the new
that
Reignited
was,
trilogy.
that was such a dumb move. I don't know why they didn't do like the Crash Bandicoot solution where all the games
Yeah.
are on the disc.
Yeah, you download the rest of the games off the disc, and it is there. You can access it all when you put the disc in, but it's like you have to download the other 2 games onto your hard drive as
Yeah.
data. So it's like it's really weird.
Well, they fixed that recently, but yeah, that is a good
They
point.
did. Yeah.
The developing companies, they just release unfinished games and rely on day one patches, and that's definitely an annoying trend nowadays. Instead of just having all the stuff ready to go on the disc.
Yeah,
Or
and it's another conundrum. Like the games run better, and you can fix game. It's not like when we grew up when games kind of came out, and if it was broken, you either hope they release a new version of the disc, or you're kind of screwed. You know, and we are criticizing this now because we can still play those old discs, but those discs get worn and they don't work anymore at a certain point. So it is kind of give or take. It's like this is just the new version of that problem.
Yeah, there is a good side and a bad side to the same problem, and like I said before, like I don't think that it's as bad as people say it is, but in terms of game ownership and preservation, because I am one of the people who is an advocate for preservation most importantly of all. But in terms of preservation, I think that like the digital versions of games are pretty much going to be the only thing that basically stands, because though like the physical hardware, like as much as we love it, and it's the sign that we own the game.
Yeah, this is
that-
our game. It's our collection.
Those things have always have a determined lifespan.
Shelf life. Shelf life.
Technology itself doesn't, and that's pretty much the reason why I believe in game preservation and the fact that we're going to have that.
I definitely agree. There's like it's one of those things where it's like, well, Scott, especially one of the reasons is like, we have our example here in that you can't play the Scott Pilgrim game anymore unless you have owned it. You bought it when it was out, before the license ran out. And I don't even think people have put it up for emulation yet, have they? Or if they even have, is there anyone that bought that game that put it up for emulation? So it's just kind of gone to the ether, and that's the thing we're all kind of fearing a little bit. It's not, apocalyptic situation for the industry, but that's one of the reasons why it's like even technology, has its expiration date, licensing and all that stuff. It really gets in the way of these great games that can be lost to time.
Yeah, that's why I am such a drama queen for preservation of video games, because it's history that doesn't get appreciated enough until it's too late. So yeah. And seeing that being lost in something like Google Stadia, which is basically advocating for the losing of game ownership and stuff like that.
Google's taking that mindset and really waving it as a flag. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make you buy these games just to stream them, and you don't even own them anymore. You can't download them. It's like pay us to just use the rights to a game, and it's kind of like the head moment. And I'm kind of glad that people are kind of like making fun of it, standing against it. It only it has such a small buy number. It's like you aren't rewarding that behavior, and I'm kind of happy about that.
Well, they're already indulging that behavior with other streaming services like Netflix and stuff, but at least you don't have to pay per what you want to see. You just have access to the library, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's with something like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff. It's a little more fun because really, name a movie that you really are like so desperate to own and have, and all that stuff. Like name a movie that you really just like. I want a copy of this. There are some, I'm sure, but it's not like video games where I'm gonna get some value out of my favorite ones for decades to come. Yep.
Anyways, I think that we can safely move into the next topic of discussion.
Yeah, let's stop talking about the streaming services of games and go on to some games that are actually worth talking about. The ones specifically in the Game Awards of 2019.
Sorry,
the Game Awards
had a break in my voice there.
Yeah, bullshit. The Game Awards is just the Game Awards is right around the corner, folks. So,
E3 number 3, new E3.
oh my god. Okay, fine. Do you want me to be petty during the podcast? Fine. E3 number 2, the new E3 is coming around.
E3 number
And-
2 with more awards.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Well,
that's funny. Love
people watch the Game Awards for the announcements anyway. So you know.
Yeah.
At least
I used to love
the Game Awards
I-
are better than E3. It's just E3 Part 2. That's all he said.
Yeah. Well, E3 is also fucking dead now. Like next year, the plans are E3. It's kind of out there a little bit that they just plan to make it an influencer party.
Yeah,
Don't
Yeah,
get me
like
started on that.
Oh, boy.
Don't
Two
get me
out
I'm
of-
not gonna get you started. I'm just saying it is what it is.
like 2 out of 3 of the
Especially-
major
especially
console
that-
makers are already out on E3. It's like
All
they're
of them
already doing
are
their
out,
own
pretty
thing.
much. Sony's also not coming.
Microsoft is the only one that's still there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they pulled out too. I thought.
you know what? We don't get me started on.
If they
on-
did,
on
then
that
E3 's
thing
pretty
with
much
E3, especially because of
It
that.
is.
Especially because of that leaked plan, with the
Mhm.
control the message and like.
Yeah, all
It-
that bunk shit.
If they if the ESA wants to use E3 as a conduit to control the gaming press and gaming media, then you know what? It's dead to me, and I'd rather have the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And let's get back to the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and read off the nominees for all of the awards. I'm going to save the actual Game of the Year nominees for last. So for 2019 action game, we have Apex Legends from Respawn/EA, Astral Chain from Platinum Games, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Devil May Cry 5, Gears of War 5, and Metro Exodus.
I'm putting my money down on Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, same.
Devil May Cry 5.
That is such
I
an
want-
awesome game. I love the fact
I
they
love
went
Devil May
back.
Cry, and I love Devil May Cry 5, and it's what I'm voting for. Obviously, because I'm like one of the biggest Devil May Cry fans in the group. But at the same time, I have a feeling something like Apex or Call of Duty might steal it just because of the more general audience.
No,
The
please,
brand.
no.
I hope
And,
not.
and I think the new Call of Duty is actually pretty fun. Like, and I do respect the fact that they've basically given out free updates, and they're not they're trying, but it's at the same time, it's like it's a tainted brand for a reason. It kind of earned its reputation. So
Not
I think
to mention that Activision is still trying to recover from the China incident. So yeah.
yeah, with Blizzard, even though it's it's the parent company, it's not entirely Activision's. It's like it's a weird. They're in a weird place, so them
you're
winning
gonna-
it would feel kind of dirty.
If you're gonna call the business name, call it by its full name. It's called Activision Blizzard, and they pretty much work completely synchronously with each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we've already had our huge conversations on that, so let's not open another can of worms. But I do want Devil May Cry 5 to win. I think it got slighted in the Game of the Year section, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. I
Devil May
would
Cry
have
5 is a good pick.
I
can
would
see
have
it not getting
also
it.
said that Astral Chain is a good vote as well because it's pretty much a love letter to all action games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta and other things like that. So I would say
Yeah.
like the two things that I think are the best out of all of these here are DMC5 and Astral Chain.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
still voting
I like
for
Apex
DMC5.
Legends, but I wouldn't. And I like Apex Legends. It's the MOBA I actually really like, but it's not the one I'm going to vote for. I'm not going to vote for that game because it's not the best one of the whole list.
Honestly, to me, Apex Legends is just another game that's trying to do a cash grab in that whole battle royale trend that's going on.
That's a fair opinion, but I think what makes it stand out is I think it's just an actually quality shooter game. Like, you play it and you actually have a decent time. It's not like Fortnite. PUBG and Fortnite are the two worst battle royales, and everything else is kind of better than it. Like Tetris 99, funny, but yeah, 'cause Tetris 99 is a battle royale.
I never
the
heard
two-
of it.
It's a great one. Just ask Lego about it sometime. He plays it all the time.
You're one of the lucky ones. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, he's not. Tetris is Tetris. Tetris is always gonna be good, but like the fact that you can knock other people out by being better at Tetris than them is hilarious. But B, even Call of Duty Blackout was pretty solid. It's like I think I get my battle royale is a tainted genre, but like Fortnite and PUBG are the two worst ones of the entire genre. I think there are a lot of quality ones out there.
Before
Yeah.
we
It's
move
just
on, Sus, who are you going to nominate for best action game?
It's hard to say, but I'm only aware of Apex Legends and Devil May Cry 5 and Gears 5.
Course, yes.
But I'm with you guys. I hear nothing but great praise for Devil May Cry 5, especially after the reboot debacle of Last Attempt, which I think may be the reason why it won't win, because people still remember that and want to apply it to this.
If that's the reason, I'm gonna fucking turn off the TV the minute that happens. It's like Jesus Christ.
I'm
If
just
I see
saying,
on Twitter, if I see that, it's very specific. But if I see that specific reason on Twitter, I'm like, you guys are fucking stupid. I quit. Like, Devil May Cry 5 is so good because, well, it's not even like the reboot has good gameplay. It's just like the goddamn main character is such a douchebag. Like Dante is not a douchebag.
It's
a
Dante.
dork. Like, I want to can of worms.
I actually want to defend that. I agree. The gameplay was really good, and honestly,
Yeah,
I
the
found
gameplay solid in the definitive edition.
I do find the DMC storyline to be more interesting, but the main character is just terrible. I do not like this new portrayal. And honestly, it's not the developer's fault. It's more of Capcom's doing.
Yeah, we can point at one person in particular. He's responsible for Mega Man. Let's just leave it at that. And he has a boner for the West, and he's directly responsible for why they did that. But I do agree with you. I think DMC Reboot has an interesting story premise, and it could have been done. Like even the main universe could have done it really well. Like
yeah, definitely.
But the fact that the characters are so fucking insufferable, and Virgil is just an anonymous ripoff, and Dante is just a fucking d-bag. Like how everyone thinks a Western thinks of a cool person. It's like, no, he's just kind of a d-bag.
Yeah, and he also pretty much gives the middle finger to everyone who liked the original Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like the little cheeky thing was like, look, I get it, but like that cheeky thing is the best example of why people hate that game. It's like, it's fine, people will defend it, and I think that there's some defendable aspects to it. They could have done it better and fine, but the fact that you just had to go, haha, fuck you guys like the original DMC, not in a million years, haha, suck my dick. Like, fuck you guys, man. That was such a, like, you don't try to corral a fan base by saying, and even like I think the director of it just like had an interview where he took a smoke of a cigarette. He's like, I don't care what the original fans like, and it's like, all right, dude, well, I don't like your game.
Okay, then the original fans aren't going to buy your game. Simple as that.
Yeah, and it's why it bombed. So it is what it is. It deserved a chance, and
it
didn't bomb. Yeah, it didn't bomb hard, but yeah, it definitely it deserved better than it even got from its developers in this debacle surrounding. Because I do agree.
Right,
now that we're done with that, let's move on to the next category, action-adventure game. And I can tell you right now, one of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong.
One of these things is not
You'll know
like
what
the
it is
other.
as soon as you hear it. I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead.
But let's
Go
just
ahead,
go
Lego.
off the top of the list. We have Borderlands 3, Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake on the Nintendo Switch, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Why the hell is Death Stranding on here?
Yeah, I have. I told you would recognize it instantly.
Yeah, I no offense to the game and Kojima, it's just not like there needs to be a different section for this game, maybe like walking simulator games.
I'm gonna pose an addendum here. Cut it right now. Let's save it for Game of the Year. I'm just gonna say that now.
Fine.
Save the Death Stranding shit for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Build it up. Build it up over the whole list. Build it up over the whole podcast. We'll
So-
put it all up at the end.
For every other,
Oh my god, I want that game to win that award. I want it to win all the awards.
Oh,
Yeah. We all love Resident Evil 2.
I know for a fact that Resident Evil 2 is going to win, like, at least
That's a
one
bold
award.
statement. But
Remake
yeah,
2 is going to win
it's-
at least one of the
It's not-
categories,
it's
I know
not-
that much.
It's not a bold statement because, because here's something that I'm going to say about the announcements. Resident Evil 3 just got revealed by appearing as a listing on the PlayStation Network store.
Heck yes.
It got
so
leaked by
It
PlayStation.
It is so obviously going to be announced during the Game Awards. So Yeah, they're going to win at least
I
one
can't
award.
wait for that trauma to haunt me again.
Nemesis and his Nemesis.
So yeah,
Oh.
Resident Evil 2 is going to win at least one award. If not,
I'm
the
gonna.
entire
We should-
show.
I'm gonna say that for later because I have a good idea
should-
where it's gonna win.
Well, around next year or whenever it comes out next year, I'll probably be LPing that. So
Eventually.
well, I don't know. Eventually, so I'm excited.
I'm-
Your trauma is gonna be transferred to me.
No,
Nemesis and now his
Oh.
popsicle stick teeth.
Stars.
I don't care
I'm fascinated
what
though.
anyone says that Nemesis is the scariest mother effer I ever met in any video game.
Well, yes, because if you think about it, like, we're not gonna. Don't worry, guys. I know you guys are like, don't tangent too long. Don't worry, it's not gonna be that long of a tangent. But it's just to agree with you. Yeah, it's like, and we've been talking about it. I'm fascinated to see how they're gonna handle Nemesis because even back in RE2, Mr. X was scary, but you know he was minuscule. Nemesis can appear almost.
He was easily manipulatable.
Yeah, Mr. X is easily manipulatable, and he is a little bit in RE2 Remake, but like Nemesis is a whole nother beast. He still has a pattern, but it's like, man, he can fucking kill you in an instant, and he can run around the map faster than you can. I wonder how they're going to handle it in that RE2 style.
Or at the very
No,
least, just
I'm
as
I'm
fast.
very interested.
Also, how they're
Yeah.
gonna handle the rocket launcher because he does have that.
Yeah, and how they're going to, like, that's the one thing we're all fascinated. And I was telling them, like, how are you going to get the fucking gun parts? Like, that's going to be interesting to me. Do you
Maybe-
kill him and get gun parts, or is it going to be put in a different part of the game? Like some of the other stuff in RE2 was kind of fangled around.
I guess time will only tell until we see like a trailer or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you're ever around when we do that LP, you're more than welcome to probably
Oh,
ask
I
to
am
join.
willing to join you guys because I love the Resident Evil franchise, except for Operation Raccoon Shitty and Resident Evil 6.
No, you said that right. Operation Raccoon Shitty. You're absolutely 100% correct. I'll take that.
Just
Yeah, man.
quickly say it's a game. If you just turn off your brain and just maybe get
Yeah.
some. I'm not condoning this. Saying you should do this. Get some drinks, maybe some substance that'll make you very above clouds. You'll have a great time. But
So you want me to get some materia? Gotcha.
yes, materia essentially.
Learn skill fly.
Back to the
Learn
thing.
skill. I see the stars. Huh?
Can I pose a question?
Sure.
Beyond RE2, which we think is going to be the clear favorite, unless Death Stranding pulls an upset. Like, what other title you think
On
would
this
be
list?
worthy? Yeah, would be worthy of winning it.
I have a
Between
couple,
Borderlands 3, Control, Link's Awakening on Switch, and Sekiro.
Yeah.
I
You know
vote
what?
Sekiro.
I'm gonna think Sekiro. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to
yeah.
Sekiro.
Okay.
That'd be
You
my
guys can go
second place
Sekiro.
vote.
I think it's weird for me because I'm a Borderlands fan, but there's just so much negativity around that game that even I didn't really buy it when I had the opportunity. I'm gonna get it later when it's on sale, but like. I don't know. I want Link's Awakening to do it because there's such a just the worst thing about Link's Awakening was that it was on such a limited console, and now that it's not, its true potential is really shining. But it's like I think Sekiro will probably get it, even though it's the one I'm like everyone else is kind of high on Sekiro, and I'm like I really don't like it that much. You play it once and then you're kind of done with it, as opposed to any other Soulsborne game where you can play it multiple times and you can get instant value out of it every time.
Don't
Sekiro just doesn't
understand
have
the
that
Souls
lasting
fan
appeal.
base. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's like like even some of the hardcore Souls fans I've heard kind of agree with that opinion that it's like it's good, but once you play it once, it's not
It's a one and done.
replayable game.
One and
Yeah,
done.
unlike other Souls game.
One and
Yeah,
done.
because you have the one stance and the one style, as opposed to
That's
you can get any load of weapons and play the game differently each time.
That's why I decided to nominate Resident Evil 2 as the action adventure game of the
It
year
deserves it.
because
Yeah.
it definitely deserves
Yeah.
that kind of award.
Most deserving.
We all love it. I think it's.
yeah.
I don't think I've played a game in a long time where I think everyone agreed it was very phenomenal. Actually, you know, Capcom really deserves more awards this year because both Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2 are two games that I don't think I've heard a negative word about since
Oh yeah, definitely.
at all.
Capcom has really done a turnaround here. First, like years ago, they were not doing so well, but
Yeah,
here,
we
they've
already
done an
talked
amazing
about
turnaround.
Raccoon City, but remember Resident Evil 6?
Mm.
Mm. I rather
So
not
it all
acknowledge
started with
that
7. Yeah,
exists.
and ironically, it all started with Resident Evil 7. So it's like, I think Resident Evil 2 getting the award here because I don't think 7 got a lot last year. because of everything else
7
that came
is
out.
so underrated. It's such a fantastic
I
game.
love 7.
Before
Yeah.
before we start going off a tangent with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, let's just
move to
ignore
the- to the
Capcom
game
for now and
category.
move on. Art direction,
that's-
presented by Samsung QLED phones.
Wait,
Of
what?
course.
Yeah, this
Game Awards.
this-
Honestly,
We have the candidates are Control,
Love it.
Death Stranding again, Gris, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Link's Awakening on Switch.
Link's Awakening.
Like I said,
that game gets my vote. Link's Awakening.
yeah. Like I said, we're gonna save all the Death stuff for the end, but I do think this is one of the categories that would make sense for that game in particular.
Yeah, I
because
agree with that
it
as well.
basically is an art design. You know, Kojima's always been that artsy kind of guy.
Even then, I still give it to Link's Awakening. Like, I'm sorry,
That's
but
fair.
I think that's fair. I think Control is probably the one I kind of like more, but Link's Awakening is a solid, like, very close number 2 for me. I think
Yeah,
Control kind of deserves that. It's not a great game, but I think that Remedy always makes these really fantastic worlds, you know?
I am giving my vote to
So-
the Link's Awakening remake personally, even though I do think that it would have benefited from not having the toy designs instead of the cutscene designs that they had in the opening and the ending that they only have in the opening and ending for some reason, which is the same as on the Game Boy, but they didn't have that in the Game Boy
Shut up,
Color
weeb.
version.
Shut up, weeb!
Ooh.
It's a joke. Don't worry. I'm not actually insulting him.
Okay,
We're
boy.
I
doing
know,
a
but,
Persona
like-
2 LP, so I'm a weeb too.
No, I'm just talking about. I'm just commenting on his speed of talking.
Yeah, no, he does that. He does that a lot.
Honestly,
You'd be surprised
I don't even
what he
know
can
where
get
to
in
put
there.
my vote on. I don't know where to put my vote on because none of these games I really have much of a high interest in.
Yeah,
So if I
that's
pick
fair.
a random one, I guess Control because I really did kind of like the SCP inspiration.
Yeah, I definitely thought Control was a very interesting. Like, it's not the best game, but it's definitely one of the best Remedy games, and that deserves some praise.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Moving on then.
Yeah, next
Yeah,
we
might
have
as well.
audio design. We have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Control, Death
Bang,
Stranding,
bang, bang! Best audio design.
Gears 5, RE2 Remake, and Sekiro again.
I'm going to go ahead and just say Resident Evil 2
Yep.
because audio matters a lot to horror, and this game just nails it.
I was scared playing.
Hey
it.
guys, Call of Duty best audio design. I found it.
Frag out!
Guys, it's such an audio masterpiece. Bang, bang, bang.
You can hear the
Who
racist
wins?
10-year-old so crisp and clear.
I know, man. Yeah, man, she's talking. Man, that 10-year-old's fucking my mom so good. It's the fucking best audio design ever.
Oh,
Oh, man. No.
Best audio
but,
design.
Best audio design. Awful teens with terrible parents.
you guys are awful. You guys
But-
are awful.
Yeah.
I gotta know.
Uh,
What about Gears 5? Like, has that received any good reception, or is it eh?
It's a Gears game.
Dead since 4.
It's a Gears game.
Gears has been dead since 3. Let's be
That's
real.
all.
It's
That's
yeah.
all I need to hear. It's a Gears game.
Yeah,
a Gears game.
pretty much.
Like, even Modern Warfare is, like, getting better reception than the new Gears game. It's like, that's because there was a while where COD was just COD. Now it's kind of flipped to Gears is just Gear, and Call of Duty has the decent title now. It's weird. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Sayonara Wild Hearts is actually my surprise pick of this entire conference. I think that's going to be the one that gets audio design.
No,
'Cause
that's for
Death
art
Stranding is
direction.
decent.
Audio
Audio
design.
Audio direction, sorry.
has-
I misspoke.
Audio design is Call of Duty, Control, Death Stranding, Gears, RE2, and Sekiro.
And I thought Sayonara... Wait, because...
That was in the last topic.
Well, I get that, but let me finish. I was
Okay.
just gonna say, isn't it one? Well,
Good job.
yeah, like well, it's like you're trying to complete my points when it's like I'm saying what I'm trying to say. I thought Sayonara Wild Hearts was the game. I never say it right. Sorry. Is the game where it's like that Necro Dancer game where it's like you kind of play it to a rhythm. So why isn't it an audio design? That's weird.
That's a different one, actually. Candence of Hyrule, if I remember correctly.
it? Well, no, I know that, but I thought Sayonara Wild Hearts was one of those games. Is what I'm saying.
It's not a rhythm game. What the hell are you talking about?
Man, I got lied to on a podcast then, because that's what I heard. I heard it was like from one of the guys who loves those fucking games. It was like, yeah, Sayonara Wild Hearts is one of those kind of games, and I love it. It's like, okay. Anyway.
It's an arcade game, not whatever. Let's move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Community
Next thing. Community support. We have Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Rainbow Six.
So the better question is, which one's the less toxic one?
Final Fantasy 14.
Yep, going with that.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I know plenty of people from Final Fantasy 14 that go all over the place about it. Like, you can't tell me that it's the least toxic one.
It's good for
Actually,
me,
yes,
though.
it is, because my girlfriend plays it, and honestly, people she hangs out with are probably the most peaceful people I've met in any
God
communities.
damn it. God damn it.
Yeah, does your wife say that Final Fantasy 14 is the best?
Compared to all the others, like,
Wife approved.
to be legitimate though, like,
Destiny 2.
Okay, yeah.
For the game than the
Yeah.
for community
So-
support, for the community support, I don't really agree with that one, but
Zeus is gonna have to be our tiebreaker because Chris and Legon agree Final Fantasy 14. Actually, me and you will agree on Destiny 2 for something that we talked about a while ago in our own personal time. It's when we were talking about these nominees. Destiny 2 fucking struck out on its own and then saved itself from a massive crash, all while keeping the community no one was complaining that hard. Like the devs, Bungie were out all the time talking, they were like reassuring fans saying we got this, and there was a massive crash and they struck out on their own. Like, that's incredible. I think that's an amazing service to their community.
They managed to hold themselves together. They made a lot of fantastic community contributions.
Yeah.
And
we definitely agree on that one.
They kept themselves alive until Bungie basically cut ties with Activision. And that was the best thing ever, where everyone celebrated. So
yes.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy 14 definitely deserves its praise as well. So Zeus is going to have to be our tiebreaker because both have very solid arguments for winning it.
All right, Zeus, if you want to keep your job, vote for the city.
Wow, Black.
Wait, did you just say vote for Dissidia?
Yo, I voted for Fortnite. Screw you. I'm kidding.
Okay, you're out of the team.
I'm kidding.
And that's why we're going to post nothing but that Sonic Heroes finale part from Team Rose just to spite you. Remember when you fell off the fucking stage, dickhead? We're just make that.
Remember when you took 5 minutes fighting Team Chaotix? Twice.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my gosh. Okay, but seriously,
What's your serious vote?
my vote actually did go for Final Fantasy 14, and
God damn.
it did. I just think this being an MMO just requires a lot. I mean, I know Destiny 2 is pretty big in scale as well, but
Yeah, Destiny 2
14
does deserve quite a lot of props for what it's done.
yeah.
Yeah, it did the 14 thing. It salvaged itself from the brink of death.
It did the Realm Reborn.
But don't forget with 14 too, like they had a rocky start as well years ago, and they've just been trying content since. And
I was watching a little bit of 14 with Legon last night, and there's definitely it's built such a strong foundation through community support and being open to feedback, criticism, et cetera, Like, wow.
Yeah, and a market
it would deserve it as well.
Once oversaturated like MMOs, 14 has been relevant and still is, because it's definitely a dying genre in terms of new things getting to the field. So, major props to 14 for. I have friends that play 14 constantly, and they tell me how great it is, and all the expansion packs. That
and I think Chris can attest to it too. But we both like for Warframe. That we learned that now. But Warframe is the only close big MMO that's out. But other than that, 14 owns the field in the MMOs. That's a pretty impressive feat.
It's actually growing more popular than WoW is.
I believe.
Yeah,
good.
Heyday, so it definitely owns the field in that regard.
WoW is just dying because the engine is. WoW is basically becoming modern Bethesda. Their engine is super outdated, and they have no idea what they're doing.
Oh boy,
pretty much. Which is sad because. Well, I don't think it's hot because I think
it's not even a hot take. It's literally the facts.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game back in its day, 10 years ago. But then it's
back when the engine was still good.
Well, it suffers the Bethesda problem of they're just running out of kind of general interesting ideas. I gushed about their audio design panel from BlizzCon, but like that's like a chunk of the game. It's not the full experience, you know. So
Yeah, like
I think if you get more
visual.
people that have that enthusiasm, it'll be fine. But it's not. It's not there yet.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Ready to move on?
yep.
So, do we care about content creator of the year,
No.
No.
Let's skip it.
or
PewDiePie is my boy.
or esports
Yeah,
coach?
No.
No.
Okay,
What kind of
Yeah.
esports?
esports
Well, I
event.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
I
we're gonna
know
esports
nothing.
event. At least
okay.
give-
Before
well,
doing
you'll
that-
just tell us the one you like.
yeah.
Because there was one guy you liked, so just go on and tell us the one you like.
Yeah, esports coach. Yeah, I will go with Eric Andren Hovak because he has been doing pretty well for Team Liquid, and he
Yeah.
has helped. His team a lot more than the other people in the field. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people underestimate coaches, but coaching is actually
in
a
everything,
good
it's
thing.
for sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's actually a really amazing thing, especially in competitive teams. And you know,
And I
since
respect that too.
we're a competitive team, we should care
does
about
matter.
that.
We should, but I'll
Agreed.
agree with you, Yul, and it's like it's the reality too. It's like I played sports when I was in it, you know, growing up. So it's like it just extends to that. It's like coaches get so underappreciated for their developmental, you know, just how I mean they're basically taking a bunch of people under their wing and giving them guidance. That's a lot. It takes a lot of work, you know. So I definitely give props where it's due, but I know I don't know enough about a lot of them either, so I'm not one to talk. But I definitely understand where Yul's coming from on that one.
Yeah. Anyway,
and-
esports event.
For
Yeah,
esports
event,
events, the nominees are 2019 Overwatch League Grand Finals, EVO 2019, Fortnite World Cup. None of us are voting for that, I assume. IEM Katowice
Don't you
2019.
assume my vote?
Okay, fine. League of Legends World Championship 2019, and the International 2019. It's not the International anything, it's just the International.
The international.
Well, you guys.
You exist in the world.
Because I know nothing of these.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this
Okay.
is our field expertise. So, I am going to say that I placing my vote for the International 2019. It was one of the best events I have ever seen, especially because Dota
Yeah.
Dota 2 is such a
It's a big game.
Yeah, it's such a respected game, and like its community has been so strong, and seeing the international, you know, the competition was fierce, and the broadcasting talent was actually pretty amazing as well. Pretty
Yeah.
like I believe that the international deserves the award because oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, the prize pool of the tournament was $34 million.
That's
So,
impressive. Yeah.
You know,
I
already it's crazy.
yeah.
I just have
I
one
wanna go-
question about the International. Why don't they just say it's the Dota International?
I don't know, man.
It's a naming tradition basically but because
Yeah, it's like how Evo is called Evo and not just the fighting game tournament. You know what I mean?
yeah, it like
Uh,
Evo stands for Evolution Tournament, so
Yeah, and it's like that's yeah. But speaking of Evo, that's my pick. But I like you and I got into a debate over it a while ago, and I see Rick's point. I think the international definitely. I agree with him that it deserves it, but my pick is Evo because fighting games is just the biggest thing. I love fighting games, and it's my big field. And it's like I think even if they made their one slip up, it wasn't a horrible. It was an accident, sure. It was a slip up of the whole Snake in Tekken. Like they were making a joke about Snake and Colonel Campbell talking during the Tekken event, so people thought, oh, it was a Snake reveal, but it was like, oh, everyone got mad, and I get it, but I also think it's a bunch of people being over dramatic about just a genuine mistake that Evo is probably going to learn from.
you make
So
it
it's my
sound
pick.
you make it sound like it was a bunch of raging fanboys, but you know that Katsuhiro
Kinda is.
Harada is among the people who didn't really like that stunt either. So.
I know he didn't like it either, but he can get his head out of his ass and get over it. To be honest.
You're talking shit about the Tekken producer and the head of Bandai Namco Esports.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes even the best people get their head stuck up their ass. Yule, it's kind of reality. Like he got his head stuck up his ass about it a little bit. Who cares? Well, I mean, I'm going a little hard, and I understand why he got upset, but it's like You know, it was a dumb joke. Whatever, move on. They didn't profit from the joke. It just happened. You know, they didn't sell tickets going, "Hey, we're gonna do this snake joke. You guys better buy tickets for it." Like, it just was a bad joke that went over badly. You know.
Okay, so we're ready.
Is this back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back. Like, yeah, boys.
Yeah, I'm back, boy.
Yeah, boys. All right, let's continue.
Yeah, boy.
Eat.
I think out of all those games, I like Luigi's Mansion 3 a lot because Smash is already in other categories, so I don't need to vote for it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of other categories, fighting games, we have Dead or Alive 6 and Jump Force, the joke picks.
Why the fuck down there?
Dead or Alive 6 is at least a fighting game. It's just one that makes you pay like
No,
thousands of dollars to enjoy
I'm
it.
mad about Jump Force.
Yeah. It's the best fighting game, don't you know? I mean, it's got Goku in it. Guys, it's got Goku in it. It means we gotta vote for it. Smash doesn't have
Jump
Goku.
Force only has Jump Force, it only has two types of players. People that want to play as JoJo characters, and people that want to play against JoJo characters.
And it also has Goku in it, boy. Smash doesn't even have Goku in it. It's not Go fighting games. Jump Force got Goku in it.
The real candidates are Mortal Kombat 11, Samurai Showdown, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
You know what?
Agreed.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Sam Show.
Yeah. You and I kind of agree on Sam Show because it literally brought in SNK back into the spotlight, which we've wanted forever.
It's
So
most
I'm a Sam
deserving,
Show. Yeah.
but it won't win. It's not gonna win.
Smash Bros is gonna win.
It's
Either
it's
Smash
a
or
two-
Mortal Kombat is gonna win.
Yes, one of the two.
Yeah.
And my money's on Smash.
If Jump Force wins as a gag, I'll almost applaud it because that's hilarious.
If
But
it
won't.
does win, it deserves an applause for how many people ironically
does.
voted for it, and then
All
it
the
actually
people
wins.
made it up.
I will kill myself.
Gamers rise up! Vote for Jump Force.
I will kill myself if Jump Force wins.
I'm personally voting for Samurai Showdown as well, though.
That's
Yeah, Sam Show. Sam Show's good.
Sam Show. Sam Show.
Sam Show. Sam Show. Sam Show.
You're all gonna be changed
Alright.
in a couple Thursdays, and I'm gonna hit you for
Yep.
The
You'll
next
get over it, sir.
next category is Fresh Indie Game presented by Suaboy.
it. Ooh.
Boy. Presented by my boss.
If only.
That would be hilarious. What's a video game? Anyway,
We
rattle
have-
off those contestants.
Za/Um for Disco Elysium, Nomada Studio for Gris, Dead Toast Entertainment for My Friend Pedro, Mobius Digital for Outer Wilds, not to be confused with Outer Worlds, Mega Crit for Slay the Spire,
Damn it.
and House House for Untitled Goose Game, aka
Goose Game!
Hyonk Hyonk.
Damn it! No!
Young dog!
Go game. Go game.
No! No!
It was the biggest hit
He has been
game of
infected by the
year, so it
hyonk.
has to.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we doing that? Are we gonna say it's just because it sold a lot? It deserves
Yes,
any
we're
award?
gonna
No,
say
we're not
that.
doing.
Yes.
We're not doing that shit.
Oh.
right
Yes, we
now.
are.
Outer Wilds.
Popularity always wins.
That's
No, that's no. Okay, well, memes aside, that means Fortnite would win every single award it's ever in because Fortnite.
No one does not deserve any of those awards.
Then Goose Game doesn't deserve this award either. You shut the fuck
No,
up.
it's Goose Game.
Goose
Fortnite doesn't deserve the awards just because it's Fortnite.
Trash.
Why are you rewarding assholes for being assholes? Geese are the worst. I live by geese and they're fucking awful.
You can play as an asshole, that's why. Great.
Well, you can play as an asshole in every other video game.
Oh, God, you never
You deserve an award for it.
That's the major difference.
But you can't play Megalovania on a harmonica.
Look, I'm gonna fucking save my Outer Worlds game right now and I'm gonna go start shooting people. Give me an award. Because I'm an asshole. That means I deserve an award.
I mean,
okay,
if you're a funny asshole, then yeah.
Well, you're entertained, so what the fuck does that mean?
Let's
Anyway,
go.
no, we're not moving along. I didn't get to make my pick, you motherfucker. You sit down. You sit down. I didn't get to make my pick after my rant. My rant is gonna end with, I think Outer Wilds is a better indie game than Goose fucking Trash.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It may be your opinion, but you're wrong.
Opinions are subjective, but you found the one that isn't.
Just like how I think Sonic 06 is better than Sonic Adventure 1.
You sit the fuck down too and get out of this channel.
Okay,
Anyone with
millennial.
these wrong. Anyone with okay, little zoomer. God damn it. Everyone's got these wrong opinions up in here.
Okay,
Fucking-
before World War III starts, how about we move on to the next category?
Disco Elysium
Okay.
is a solid second pick, but fuck Goose Game.
No,
Fucking geese are
Goose Game's
assholes.
amazing.
Do we ever
Let's
play?
Game direction. Let's move on.
Alright.
Honk honk.
We have the same from Action Game and Outer Wilds, aka Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Resident Evil 2.
Creative vision, innovation, and game direction.
So
I
am
think
going to-
Death
I
Stranding
am
deserves
going
this
to
one.
be- yeah, I am going to also be controversial.
I don't know about that.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so hear me out.
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, yeah, continue.
In terms of game direction,
No.
the award is.
Just no. I'm gonna stop you right here.
Continue.
No. That's ready.
I hate you, Zeus. It's a
Is Zeus gonna go into his own rant like I just did with the Goose Game?
God damn it. It's awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I like give Kojima as much as you want in terms of shit, but he basically did every single one of those disqualifications, despite like even though it's not really a good game. So I believe that that's
Well, good is subjective, but yeah, it's
that's
divisive.
There's an
You'll-
award for that direction.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and we'll definitely get into more Death Stranding when we get
but
to
you're
Game of the Year.
wrong.
yeah.
But you're wrong.
Yeah.
No.
I definitely think that this is one of the places that Death Stranding deserves to be the most compared to all the other ones. Like, it doesn't deserve to be an action game, but again, we'll get really into that when we get to the Game Awards, the main
Yeah,
Game
but
Awards.
Creative vision and innovation in game direction, and
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
let's.
agree with the innovation in game direction for Death Stranding. I think for RE2, look at where it came from the original game, the tank controls, the limited camera angles, and look how it adapted itself to modern day. And I think that is a bigger testament to this category than Death Stranding is.
Oh, well, okay, because yeah, like we're saying, we're gonna get more into this Death Stranding stuff at the end. But here's where I'll counter you a little bit, Zeus. RE2 is based off of RE4, which is a game that still came out 11 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's not that innovative. It's just taking an older game and putting it in a format that you've already done successfully with the same character. And it's definitely, it worked. Don't get me wrong. I think it worked, and it remade the game very well, but that's not innovative because again, RE4 did the same thing, and that was an original game in that lineup. So it's hard
Okay.
for me to say RE2 is an innovative game because it taken a lot of things that has been done in the series before. It just gave it a new, fresh spin on it, you know?
That, and if we're going with that argument, Resident Evil 2 Remake removed the best thing from Resident Evil 4, you can't suplex anything.
Yeah,
And with that, we're moving on. Fuck it. I have nothing better to say than that.
yeah. Let's move on.
All right,
You can't
that's fair.
you can't suplex druids.
Games for
Let's move on.
Impact, aka the most artsy-fartsy ones, and then the ones that are actually spreading a message with that. We have
Pro-social.
Concrete Genie, Gris, Kind Words, Life is Strange 2, Tumblr the Game 2, and Sea of Solitude.
Concrete Genie.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Outer
like-
Worlds didn't get in. I'm surprised Outer Worlds didn't get onto this entire list, considering it's a message about anti-corporatism. But oh well.
Considering that it is a message about anti-corporatism, I'm not surprised it didn't get on.
Gee.
True. Fair enough.
Honestly, I haven't played any of them, but I'm gonna go with Sea of Solitude because I like the style of it.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair.
That
But
did impress me when it first.
Concrete Genie works as a game for impact more than any other of these games, so yeah.
Yeah, and Gris is obviously the one we all think is like the most obnoxious fucking smell your own farts game in the world.
Yeah,
so
that one.
That one.
It's really
would kind
just.
of
It
be
just
what
feels
the
like
fuck?
it's so in your face that it shoots its own message in the foot.
Gris, it's green.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm so there it is. There it
And
is.
that's
We
the
found
that's the
perfect
point
example.
exactly.
There's the example. There's the example. It's green, not grease. It's like, all right, suck my ass, man. I don't care.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead and eat your grease.
okay, let's move on.
Yeah, move on.
Indie games. We have Baba Is You, Disco Elysium, Katana Zero, Outer Wilds, and Goose.
Chris, you're not allowed to give an opinion. I'm just kidding.
I'm voting for Katana Zero.
Katana Zero.
Yeah, I'll vote for Katana Zero as well. I think it's out of all of them, it's pretty good. Outer Wilds is kind of a second for me, very close second, because that was a really good game. I heard some seething. Oh, move on. But is that your vote, Chris? You vote Goose Game?
Devolver Digital, gotta support the company, right?
Would you believe me if I said no?
What?
No.
What's the best indie game in your opinion then out of that list?
Well, it's the Goose Game.
Okay, well you just said
And
no.
that's exactly
Okay.
why I didn't believe you.
Trolled.
You didn't have it right.
Next, we have mobile
You
games.
vote for it, we.
Mobile.
I did fall for
Call
it.
of Duty Mobile, Grindstone, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sky Children of the Light, and
Mobile.
What the Golf?
Mobile.
Seriously? What the golf?
Yeah, that's my vote.
Sayonara
I
Wild
haven't
Hearts.
played any of these, but I'll go with what the golf because why
Yay.
not?
It's a mix between Sayonara Wild Hearts and actually you'd be surprised, but I'm not voting for it because But I heard that Call of Duty Mobile was actually really good, and that it's a very you're playing Call of Duty on your phone. That's a pretty good experience. But Sayonara Wild Hearts is also an original game that's pretty well made, so it'll get my vote.
Moving on to the multiplayer game of the year.
For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experience irrespective of game genre or platform, we have Apex Legends, Borderlands 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, and Tetris.
Tetris
Tetris.
99.
Tetris.
That's the best battle royale game ever.
Tetris best battle royale, don't at me.
Can you believe that a Tetris game is nominated for something in 2019, guys? What a fucking time to be alive. Holy
It's
shit.
the best time to be alive.
It is
Yes.
the best time to be alive.
So,
I like-
can we agree that we're
I
all
like
voting
Modern
for
Warfare,
Tetris?
but-
Yeah,
I like Modern
Tetris.
Warfare, but I'll vote for Tetris just for the legacy of it's fucking Tetris, and the fact that it's so fun to play is like wow.
I'm gonna be that
I
guy.
agree.
I vote for Borderlands 3 because I'm currently playing it.
Fuck him.
Okay.
Okay.
Borderlands
I'm
3,
having a lot of fun.
okay, what you say say what you will about Borderlands, it is a multiplayer juggernaut experience, so it's like, and if it's a decent one, it deserves some kind of award in that regard. I'm just not a big fan of Randy Pitchford, but it's like, I just am not that hype on Borderlands 3, but it's good, it looks fun. It's a good
Alright.
multiplayer game.
And the
Best
next
narrative.
category is narrative. We have A Plague Tale: Innocence, Control, Death Stranding, Disco Elysium, and The Outer Worlds, not to be confused with The Outer Wilds.
Damn it.
This
This one might be divisive.
Yeah. I can already
This
see
is
that
like
it will
the most
be.
divisive one.
Control. I am
Okay.
going with Control.
Disagree.
I'm either going with either Death Stranding or Control. I'm split between the two.
I'm gonna go with Outer Worlds because I just think it literally looks at Bethesda and goes, "Fuck you! We can write a Fallout game and make one better than you." So
I am totally with we here. Outer Worlds for the exact
Outer
same
Worlds
reason.
it gets me.
If it's
And I
to give
just
the
think
middle
narrative's
finger to
interesting.
Bethesda, then I'll
No, it's
vote
not
for
just
it.
that. It's not just that for me, but that's also fair. It's like it's not just that for me. I'm really engrossed in the game. I think the narrative is really fun, and it does the only message in the game is kind of anti-corporatism, but it does that message pretty well, and I think it's such a well-deserved message at this point that even if it's not the best, it's like, yeah, it kind of deserves it.
I think I don't really care about Fallout type games, so I'm going to vote for Control because Death Stranding, it's already going to get it's already going to get a few other awards anyway, so I'm going to vote for the one
Yeah.
that did it and did it while having a good game attached.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a
Ongoing
good reason.
Next
game.
is ongoing game. There is only
It's
one
already
correct
clear.
answer here, but the candidates are Apex Legends, Destiny 2,
Here are the other
Fortnite,
losers
Tom Clancy's
compared
Rainbow
to
Six
my
Siege,
favorite
and Final
game.
Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
14.
Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
Moving
14.
on.
Yeah.
You get one, but that means you don't get the other one that you know you're nominated for later.
Moving on, we.
Next, we have acting
No, I'm making it
performance.
clear.
We have Do we care about any of these?
Not really. I don't care.
It's gonna be one of the Death Stranding characters anyway.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
either.
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, it's
Norman
gonna be
Reedus.
one of those that wins.
Norman Reedus.
I like Norman Reedus as an actor, so don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah, but
I don't think there was many standout actors in this. I mean, okay, let's take the Death Stranding, all that junk aside. There was just not many games this year that had a notable acting performance like how there was last year. I mean, even last year had some really good candidates. Yuri Lowenthal, Spider-Man, what's his face is Sam from Red Dead Redemption 2. He was a more unknown guy, so that's why I don't know his name. But there was a lot better voice acting last year in games. Even like the guy who did fucking Kratos for Dad of War, Dad of Boy, he got a nomination too. So there's a lot better performances. Yeah, Dad of Boy. There's a lot better nominations. This year there was just
Be better.
Yeah, this year we're all kind of shitting on it, not just because of Death Stranding, but this year there was just nobody notable that really stole any games.
Yeah, there's just really nobody notable except Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, and in DMC voice cast is DMC voice cast. Resident Evil 2 was alright. I mean, that's not one of the strong suits of
There
that
aren't
video
actually
game, in
any
all fairness.
candidates from the Devil May Cry games.
Any of them. Yeah, and it's like, in the reality is that's fair, because it's like, I love Devil May Cry, but, you're not going to be writing home about the voice acting, even though it sounds like this, and, it's foolish and it's not too Dante, but, jokes aside, there was no one that really stole the show this year. Norman Reedus kind of stands out because he put his effort into it.
Because he's the only real notable name.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the only one that did.
Boys.
Next topic now, that's pretty much all that we needed to say about it. Role-playing game. We have Disco Elysium, Final Fantasy XIV, which I'm surprisingly not voting for this time, Kingdom Hearts 3, Monster Hunter World, and The Outer Worlds. Not to be confused with The Outer Wilds.
Yes, we get it.
I gotta hammer
Lego
that in.
likes to also drive in. True. It was kind of an annoying, like, you say that, Chris, but when the streams for Outer Wilds were going on, people were joining streams all the time and going, this isn't Outer Worlds? How did you get Outer Worlds so early? It's like, fuck off.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you get it.
All right, then.
Yeah, you can get why the joke is there, because it was kind of a big deal.
Oh, I'll cut him
yeah.
some slack. I'll cut him some slack.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Outer Worlds. I definitely vote for the Outer Worlds.
Yeah, you know what? I will go with Our World as well, because if it's just Fallout, but way better, then I'll go with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm going Kingdom Hearts 3 because
No!
you guys.
Yeah, I am too.
No!
Fuck you guys, man. It's a good fucking Kingdom Hearts. Like,
There's no Final Fantasy characters in there. What the hell?
Oh boy.
Who fucking?
Here we go.
That's the main draw of Kingdom Hearts. is the
Disney
co-
fight.
no,
Disney
no,
fight.
no, no,
Disney
Final
fight.
Fantasy characters.
Yeah, okay, I'm so sorry that Edgy Boy McCloud fucker and Squall were not in Kingdom Hearts 3. Ooh,
And you're
big
not
sorry,
arguing
big
with me that the
cry.
story was good?
Well, okay,
The
it's as
story's
good as
never
the
good in
one.
Kingdom Hearts. We've accepted
No,
that.
it's
Our modern
it's the
Final
writing
Fantasy
is
game
terrible.
story's good. People over-exaggerate the Kingdom Hearts writing all the fucking time, to be honest.
No,
Like, it's...
no, there's some good moments, but for the most part,
But-
it is bad.
Darkness within darkness awaits you.
Convoluted. Yeah, but the game-
Darkness,
Also-
darkness.
to give Kingdom Hearts 3 the edge, I think if you take it as a video game as a whole, if you just exclude the writing alone, I gave Outer Worlds writing alone because that's what I think it deserved an award for. But if you take the overall gameplay and the writing, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is one of the most solid titles you can play as a video game. I mean, even Outer Worlds, as much as I'm loving it, it's like it's kind of your bare bones action Western RPG. There's nothing extremely deeply special about it. It's just a better Fallout game. Whereas I think Kingdom Hearts 3 has a great combat system. It's one of the best Kingdom Hearts games to play.
No, I say Kingdom Hearts 2.
That game basically plays itself. Come on, man.
Have you played it, Yule? No, you haven't, so shut the fuck up.
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah, it plays itself because you only watch the Let's Plays of it.
Yeah, I mean, are you really gonna go there?
You know that it plays itself. Especially,
No, it does not.
Not
play
really.
itself.
Especially
I mean, it's not easy. It's not hard, but you
Can't match to win.
You can't. Yeah, you can't criticize a game that you haven't played in that specific regard, Yule. You can't say it just plays itself because you didn't play it. Like in any other criticism, fair, but you didn't play Kingdom Hearts 3.
You can't
say it plays
criticize
itself.
gameplay when you haven't played it.
Guys.
Yeah.
Who says I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 3? I don't.
You don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One, and it's not on PC, so you didn't play it.
So what? That doesn't mean I can't go to a rental and play there.
If you did that, okay. But again, you're
can't-
probably making that shit up. No, you're probably just making it up for the sake of your
not
argument being
making it up.
wrong.
I'm not making
Yeah,
it
you
up.
are. But moving on.
Okay, music, so that we can drown Yule's complaints about Kingdom Hearts 3 out. We have Cadence of Hyrule, Death Stranding, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Okay, you cannot argue me on this. Devil May Cry 5 wins this one.
Yes.
Nah.
Yes.
Cadence of
It's
Hyrule.
close to Kingdom Hearts 3, but I think
Cadence of
DMC5 wins.
Hyrule.
There are 3 good soundtracks in this. Yeah, Cadence of Hyrule, Devil May Cry 3, and Kingdom Hearts 3 stand out as like the best.
Devil May
soundtracks
Cry
of this
3.
entire, like, sorry, Kingdom Hearts 3.
I mean, I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but you're wrong.
It's 2000. It's 2005. Holy shit.
So I've not heard the soundtracks a lot, but knowing from my convention experience and how often this game is covered in music tracks, Kingdom Hearts 3. Just because it's just going to be
it's a
earworm
solid
for everybody.
pick. Yeah, it's Kingdom Hearts 3 is the best Kingdom Hearts and this is a series that like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts are the best orchestras that Square puts out. You know, I think it's good. But I definitely think Cadence of Hyrule gets a good nod, and Devil May Cry 5 has a lot of really good, songs in the game. There's a lot of them I still have bopped my head to. So there's 3 really solid picks here.
This guy is so close to calling Kingdom Hearts 3 the game of the millennium, I swear.
I'm not calling it the game of the millennium. I'm just thinking.
Let's not go back down that road. That's a topic for another
Disney fight
podcast.
off camera.
Voice the shaft.
Next, we have sports racing game, of which there's really only one decent competitor. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel,
Crash
Dirt
Team-
Rally
Don't
2.0,
bother with the rest.
eFootball
Crash
Pro
Team
Evolution
Racing,
Soccer,
Crash
F1
Team
2019,
Racing
and
is
FIFA
Crash.
2020, the gambling simulator. The only
Crash
real,
Team-
Crash
the
is
only,
I know that-
the only real competitor is
I know that
Crash.
I know that we kind of meme that. I know that we kind of meme that there's only one game that's notable, but this is a literal list that I don't know the other fucking games in any regard. I only knew Crash. I
The
know them,
only,
like, I didn't-
the only game
didn't
that
do
I
that
know
once.
that isn't Crash is FIFA 20, only because of EA Sports' horrible reputation of loot box card packs, literal gambling.
Yeah.
Also, apparently with FIFA, there's a literal group of people that decide to engage in cheating and agree to it, and yeah, it's weird. That's another topic for another day.
can cut really deep into EA in another podcast.
Yes, that's
FIFA's gonna win.
a topic for another time.
Yeah. Next category. Oh, Zeus, you had to say something?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Crash Team Racing Nitro Field. It's
Oh
no
my God.
contest.
It really is no context.
Okay,
Con-
that's
con-
not in the game.
contest, not context. That's a totally different thing.
Can we just
Devil May Cry 3.
Next is strategy game. Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 4, Devil May Cry 5.
Well, it takes some strategy to put your buttons in and beat the monsters up, so you're not
Okay.
wrong.
For real now. Age of Wonders Planetfall, Anno 1800, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which is really the one I'm voting for because it's the only one I know of, Total War 3 Kingdoms, Tropico 6, and Wargroove.
Yeah. Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses is probably the. Well, yeah, Fire Emblem 3 Houses deserves it because it definitely took the Fire Emblem series and brought it to a new height.
Yeah,
I'd go
I
Fire
like to
Emblem as well because it's anime.
I just like to
Fair enough.
compare
I respect this man.
I like to compare Three Houses to Persona 5 in terms of how it rejuvenated the entire gameplay formula, and I think for the better because like it took it off the ground
Yeah.
and put it into a high popularity surge, just like Persona 5 did for the Persona series.
I think
Not
I
as
disagree with him a
high
little
as
bit, but-
Persona 5 did, but certainly comparably.
No, I actually think it did it a little higher because Persona 5. We'll get to the LP on that, but I think Persona 5 is good and streamlined, but it's also not. It's Fire Emblem 3 Houses definitely made it more accessible to a wider array of people. I don't know. It's weird. Like
Yeah,
I
Fire
think
Emblem.
Persona 5 did the same thing, but Fire Emblem did it a little better.
Fire Emblem would have access to a lot more people to actually get interested in the series, considering it's on a bunch of Nintendo stuff. But at the same time, it's already Nintendo, and you already have the whole Smash Brothers community who's like, "There's too much Fire Emblem in the Smash Brothers. Why is Cloud from the Fire
Fire
Emblem
Emblem.
in Smash?"
Why is Cloud from the Fire Emblem and Smash? Why is
So-
that Terry Bogard from the Fire Emblem doing combos?
No, that's Fatal Furry, and he makes my hands pretzels.
Can we
Hang on.
not? Can we just
Continue, you
can we move on,
Zeus.
please, for my sake?
No.
I just want to know, for Three Houses, like, has it been more critically received than the
It's
last Fire Emblem
from
game?
what I've heard, it's
Definitely.
basically everybody loves it. It's
definitely.
it's certainly nowhere
Oh,
near as mixed
Yeah, if
as
you want to go
Fates.
to, if you,
Because
yeah,
Fates was
if
just
you wanna go to
bad.
the last-
Basically, waifu the game.
Yeah.
Everyone gushed over that
Yeah.
game, me included.
Echoes and Fates and all that shit. Like, yeah, if you want to
Awakening-
compare the last game to this one,
Awakening
Houses
was
takes the cake.
promising, but then Fates and Shadows just really threw it into the deep end of bad.
and then Echoes was just like fucking rough. So it's like Three Houses definitely takes the cake in that regard. But then even then, yeah, because like that's where I find the Fire Emblem Persona 5 comparison a little rough because Fire Emblem reached a ton of people. It reached a ton of people that even I wouldn't think would play a Fire Emblem game. Whereas Persona 5 reached a lot of people, but it also was more catered to people who just love Persona anyway. So, whereas Fire Emblem was catered to an entire audience on the Switch, regardless.
Now that that's done and over with, let's move on to the virtual reality / augmented reality game category. We have Asgard's Wrath from Sanzuru Games / Oculus Studios, Blood and Truth from SIE London Studio, Beat Saber from Beat Games, No Man's Sky from Hello Games, and Trover Saves the Universe from Squanch Games.
Beat Saber.
I am voting for No Man's Sky.
Same here. Like, just the idea of flying around a spaceship with VR sounds like very exciting to me.
Yeah, Trover Saves the Universe is funny, and I love that Rick and Morty humor outside of Rick and Morty, but like...
It doesn't really
No
deserve
Man's
a
Sky-
reward that much.
Yeah, and Beat Saber is really fun because I think it's just like the evolution of Guitar Hero in a more fun environment with the VR stuff. But No Man's Sky gets it for me because, like they said, spaceships and VR sounds really kick-ass.
Yeah, especially with the whole resurgence that No Man's Sky has had recently. Like, it shouldn't have launched as pretty much nothing, but now it has everything that was promised and then some. And with that and just adding VR onto it, it's amazing. And then the final thing that we've been building up to this whole time. Game of the Year. We have Control, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, The Outer Worlds, again not to be confused with The Outer Wilds, I know it's difficult at launch, and...
How did you get an early copy of Outer Worlds? I don't even know how you got this copy of Outer Worlds.
Death Stranding.
Man, I know Resident Evil.
Well, let's all take our turns on Death Stranding, by the way, so that we're not...
Yes.
Let's just
Going
get
into
what we
hardcore
think deserves the
fight.
vote out the way first, because I think Smash deserves it.
I'm gonna go with Resident Evil
Even
2
though
because-
I do want to debate this a little, because Smash Brothers technically used the Game Awards to promote itself in 2018, so should it really count as a 2019 Game of the Year Awards game? Because it came out in
I don't mind
2018?
Yeah.
It came out really late that
It
year.
re- yeah, it released right after the Game Awards, so yeah, it deserves
I
to
think
have its spot.
That's a fair argument, but I also do get where Legon's coming from, where it's like, it was so, like, in that weird gray area, but I think what I've come to terms with, I think what deserves being on that list is how they've added content to the game and kept it alive throughout the year, and it became the best-selling fighting game of all time. You know, I think that alone deserves the nomination.
Okay, so
But I agree with Smash Bros.
I am
Sorry to
voting.
cut you off.
What's your vote?
Continue your dialogue. What's your vote?
I am voting for Resident Evil 2 remake.
Okay.
Yes,
No,
I'm not alone.
I'm not going to even explain it. Just fuck it. I hate you.
You love the game so much that you just want it to get there, even though you also love Smash, but don't think it deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smash. I vote Smash because I love Smash, and it's my favorite game of the year. But I
I
think
think-
RE2 would be my very close second vote on that.
Yeah, it's a
one.
close second, but I think Smash just beats it out because it's just a much more deserving game, even, again, if it is in that weird gray area where it released in 2018, but after the Game Awards of 2018.
Yeah.
So Zeus, what's your pick?
Okay.
Before we get
I'm-
into the Death Stranding pick-apart fiasco.
Yeah, it was hard because I do love Resident Evil 2 and Smash Bros. Ultimate. But in the end, I did vote for Smash Bros. Ultimate
For fuck's sakes.
Yes.
because it's
3-2, bitches. Get out of my podcast. Just kidding.
Just like
no
Final
one
Fantasy
can
XIV.
deny- Shut up.
You no longer have a team, Zeus.
Can you let me speak?
Yeah. Go
Oh my
ahead. Give
goodness.
us your reasons.
Now you know my pain.
No, we don't.
It's really hard for any gamer to take a look at this franchise and not notice the sheer amount of content and just the whole premise of this. Like, this is the biggest crossover in video game history. Period.
True.
And the way that
Arguably one of the biggest crossovers in history of media. Eat your heart out, Avengers.
Yeah, bigger than Avengers. It just bringing out all these franchises, including the third parties, and implementing them so well, and balancing the characters across the wide spectrum here. even though you may not agree that it is the best system, if you want to go melee tryhard here, but beyond that, I mean, this is a game that's accessible. It's a game that can be catered to pros and casuals. It does everything a video game should be and can be enjoyed by so many parties. Because of its wide reach to the audience and its content and just everything that it offers in just one $6 package and the affordable DLC, how can it not win Game of the Year? Sakurai deserves the credit. He's worked his butt off.
Sakurai and his team, to be fair. Let's not just say it's Sakurai that makes the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
right.
not Sakurai's glorified indie title. There are other people that are responsible for it too.
I'm gonna be honest about this. The reason why I don't agree with Smash Bros. Winning Game of the Year because it essentially is the same game as the others, just tweaked better.
And
Well,
Resident
compared to, like, Resident Evil,
I could argue this one. I could argue this one changes that narrative a bit in that there are so many characters that added to, and there's a lot of similarity, but there's just so many different play styles in the game now, like Banjo, like Terry Bogard. It's like
the skeleton's still there. It's just I don't feel like it really shook up enough to me. Like, oh yeah, Game of the Year compared, like, say, Resident Evil 2, where it completely changed what the original game was, as well as improved the original story.
We already
improved arguably
yeah.
the story.
I loved it.
We already established.
Well, it's good,
that,
but
okay. Let me talk. We already established that, for one, Resident Evil story is dumb.
Yeah, I know, but
No,
it can't be dumb fun.
No, not really. Like, it really is dumb.
Ooh.
Like, it's dumb for the sake of being dumb, and even if it plays itself seriously, that's pretty much up to the delivery of the characters rather than the game itself being,
I hope
amazing
that's
good.
not Chris's blood.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
You were almost
I
a
gotta
Jill sandwich.
like seriously,
So perfectly.
like seriously, guys. This, like, Resident Evil as a story is dumb. So let's not even go there.
Yeah.
As for
Yeah.
Resident Evil, the gameplay mechanics, that's also, we already established that it's nothing really new.
I know it's nothing new.
but-
It's essentially Resident Evil 4,
and that's
The
a
fact
fair.
that-
I was gonna say in defense of Resident Evil 2, it's nothing new, but Game of the Year is not based off of new innovation, so we could argue about that one. We could debate about that one. It's like, yeah, it's not new, but it's deserving of being nominated for sure because it is one of the best games of the year, and the story is pretty dumb, but there are some fair arguments that it took the original Resident Evil 2 and really made something special out of a remake, but
Yeah, because if you can really look at remakes, Resident Evil 2 is like now the top tier of what to expect from remakes.
Mhm.
There are no spiders in this game. 0 out of 10.
Oh yeah, there is no
they're
spiders. Like, you know what? It's again, yeah, sure. There's nothing really new, but it refines itself so very well. Like, it takes the Resident Evil 4 construct and makes it better.
Yeah. I think I can argue the same for I could argue the same for Smash, that you say it's the skeleton's still there. It's like,
Okay,
I can make that argument about Resident Evil 2 as well, though. There's a skeleton
here's the
for a
thing,
good Resident Evil game there.
Yeah, that is true, but here's the thing. With Resident Evil 2, it does improve on a lot. It does change a lot of things that the originals didn't do. First of all,
But
the
so-
gameplay.
But
We have
so
to
does
Smash, though.
But so does Smash. Exactly.
I did play Smash, but to me, it just plays the same as the others. There's not much of a difference.
I think that might just be because of the whole bridge between casual, like, not to mean any offense by this, but people that don't really go super competitive and deep into the game, not noticing much different compared to the people that
Exactly.
analyze each and every aspect of the game and go so deep into it, as I'm speaking from personal experience, that they see the most minute differences and then the things that are the biggest differences not actually meaning anything, and it's so intricately different.
Yeah.
It's the same argument for
I could-
both
yeah.
games, but it's just
well,
a
the
different
argument here-
perspective, I think.
Well, here's the thing with both games is, like, I can see points for both of us here. For us on Smash, I'll give this point. I think it takes all these different characters and universes and these play styles of all these different people, and it gives you so much variety, and yet still feels so mechanically very tight. I mean, me and the guys complain about Smash mechanics in some regards, but we're not going to deny that the game is so massively tight for as huge as it is and how many characters are. I mean, there's 100 game. It's a fighting game with 100 characters where all of them can feel viable at some regard. That's an impressive feat that you can't deny.
Except for
Resident Evil
Bayonetta,
2
because she deserved the nerfs from Smash 4. Don't at me.
Yeah. But to give the point to Chris and RE2, we're saying that you're not going to notice the differences in Smash unless you intricately play it. Well, if you play, any gamer can just put in RE2 and feel a very good game and play a very good game from start to finish. That's a very good quality for a Game of the Year contender. So I can see both sides here.
Where are the spiders?
They're currently in your apartment, Yule. You better get a pestis guy to take care of them.
A pestis.
You better get Leon to your apartment.
I'll say this: they replaced the spiders with tree people, who are infinitely more annoying to deal with.
Actually, yes, they are. Think the regenerators, but worse.
But
Okay.
well, yeah, because you just don't have the means to deal with them as easily.
Okay, so what do
And
you
now that
say?
we've essentially cast our votes for all of Resident Evil 2 and Smash, let's get into Death Stranding. Because I know all of us here have a lot to say.
Yeah,
It's a game
Yeah.
that I was really curious about, but then after seeing the gameplay, I'm just like, not my thing.
How about
Yeah.
how about starting things off with a bang? Let's start with the rumors that the reason why this is here is because of Jeff Keighley's relationship with Kojima, which might as well be called a relationship, if you know what I
friendship.
mean. No, a relationship, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
Oh
nudge,
yeah, they're
nudge.
Winkety, winkety,
Yeah.
nudgety, nudgety.
Well, honestly,
I don't know.
if that's the reality of it, I wouldn't be that surprised. I know he kind of denied it, but there was some arguments that other people who are in the game are also on the board of who nominates these games. And I defend Kojima. There's some parts of Death Stranding I'll defend. Like I think it deserves some of the nominations it got, like art direction and innovation in games. Because I kind of wanted to go on this rant back then, but we got into such a big old tiffy about Kingdom Hearts 3 and later on that it's like. The reason I think that I kind of agree with Legon and I think it deserves to be at least nominated for innovation is because a gameplay style that innovates doesn't always mean you have to like how that game plays. You don't have to like how that game innovates. It innovates because it does something very, very different. And you can't deny that Death Stranding, for as weird and as polarizing in the West, to Yule's credit, it is very loved in Europe and Japan. As polarizing as it is to the Western audience, it did innovate a lot of things about gaming in a weird way, which Kojima has always done. You know, I mean, he's done it since Metal Gear Solid, so
Yeah, that's
it's
why-
not like this is new.
Well, to be fair, Metal Gear Solid, it took some cues from other games, so I wouldn't say it's completely hugely. I'll give it credit for stealth. I will say,
Yeah.
but actually, gameplay wise and movements, I would say no, it's a bit behind.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a bit behind, but it definitely took cues from other games and refined it beyond any of those games' comprehension in any way. But at the same time, Kojima with Death Stranding completely did something that no other game has ever done, for better or for worse. So
Yeah,
that doesn't make it.
I'm glad you came to that agreement with Legon and not with me.
Well, you also, you said it too, but
I
it's like
was
you
the
didn't
one
say.
who said that. I was the one who said that.
Well, I thought Legon was the one that said it in the podcast, Yule, not like in our own conversation outside of the podcast.
I'm the one who said it on camera, therefore only my voice matters.
Boom.
Oh,
I do agree with both of you in that regard. That,
yeah,
but
you know what?
my stance. Well, sorry to cut you off, but just to end my stance a little bit. Just to end my stance a little bit. I don't think that innovation and that hype means it deserves to be on the Game of the Year itself ballot.
Yeah, I
It's
do
on there
agree
because it's a AAA game.
that it
Go ahead.
did something different. It did something different. It did a bit different, and not everyone's going to be into it. It's just, for me, I would say I'm not into that type of thing where you just walk around for hours delivering stuff. Doesn't sound very thrilling or whatever, riveting.
Appealing,
Yeah, appealing. Yeah, that's a better word for it. And well, I'll give it credit. I do enjoy the story. I think the story is probably the better aspect of it because it's so out there. It's definitely a story that's very out there. and it is definitely just screams Kojima, and I do love his work for the most part, except when it came to Castlevania. In that case, no. But
Yeah.
But this one, if I had to give it credit, yes, it did do something different. Even though it's not always great, it kind of reminds me when Mirror's Edge was something different. This first-person parkour platformer, it did it well. It did well while everything else kind of lacked. It's something different and new. Here, it's like, all right, I can see why it gets nominated, but I don't think it's going to be deserving of Game of the Year.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with you that Mirror's Edge comparison was very, very astute, and I definitely agree with it because it's like, but that's where also my feelings on Death Stranding lie is like every game that innovates and does this whole innovation thing and does something completely different and new that other games don't do, there's always something lacking in place of that, and I think ironically the gameplay innovation itself is where it kind of lacks, whereas the story is pretty good, you know? And
I think they just added a bit more to the gameplay. I think a lot more people in the West over here would enjoy it a bit more, but who
knows?
Yeah, who knows?
It's one of those games that Kojima put out that is so Kojima is literally saying, I made this for people who like my shit, and if you're not someone who likes my shit, you're probably not going to get into this as the casual player. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I guess I'm a little iffy on it being nominated for Game of the Year, but I know why it did. If we take aside all the sketchiness and all the realities of, well, it's there because Keeley sucks Kojima's dick, or the people on the board love Kojima shit, or it's like, we can make that argument, but Red Dead Redemption 2 also got on there late in the year last year as well. So we're gonna really, you can tear down the arguments, but it got on Game of the Year awards in my opinion, mostly because it's also just one of the AAA hype titles, and Game of the Year award always is between the big AAA releases of the year. You're never going to see many indie games. You're never going to see, the reason we're so polarized on Death Stranding is because we're polarized on the game itself, not necessarily because it's on the Game of the Year ballot. It's just the game is so polarizing that if it won, I would be genuinely upset because I just don't think it embodies what a Game of the Year is, like Resident Evil 2 remake, like Smash Brothers, like even Outer Worlds not as much, but like if they put Devil May Cry 5 on here, that would deserve a nomination as well.
I could even see Control on here because admittedly the gameplay is fun. The whole world that they have going for it is interesting.
Yeah.
So I can see Control on here, but Death Stranding, it just lacks too much in one department.
Yeah, and Control, for as much as I wouldn't vote for it and don't like it, if that argument is for Control, it definitely does. There's a lot of it's the same. It's in the same position as Death Stranding, and it does it a little better. Where it's like I'm interested in Control and the universe and these characters and how Remedy is putting all this together. And it's like
especially because it's fixing with Alan Wake.
No, that's just you. You're the only one that actually cares about that.
Well, it's still cool.
It's cool, but you're the only one that really cares.
I never played it, so I can't say.
It's ironic because I'm the one who pointed. To be fair, on your calling you out here, I'm the one that pointed it out to him that Control.
Okay, so that's two people that care.
Yeah, but it's not gonna win. It's not gonna win Game of the Year award because it's mixed with Alan Wake. I mean, the jokes aside, I think it's a very strong point that Death Stranding and Control have a very similar outlook of doing different things and being interesting, and Control just is a little more quality in every field than as opposed to Death Stranding, where yes, Norman Reedus is hilarious and he's great, and the universe and the story of Death Stranding is so fascinating, but the gameplay is where it's severely lacking. And Control, it does all of that stuff pretty well, even if nothing stands out deeply in particular.
Right, and Death Stranding, I just feel like even though I'm not gonna buy the game full price, I just feel like whenever it does come on sale, I kind of do want to check it out just to see what a Kojima experience is like. And I know there's better games probably in the Metal Gear series that I could dive into that can provide a better experience, but Death Stranding, there's been a lot of analysis on the point of why these gameplay decisions were made, like the feeling of isolation, the great magnitude and the effort needed, and the dangers of delivering packages safely from one end to the other. But I hear things that for some people it takes around 10 to 12 hours before anything major keeps you invested in the game, and that it has the slowest prologue and intro of any game in history. I feel like it's the intro of it is longer than the entirety of Shadow of the Colossus, and that's ridiculous.
And I'll boost your point a little bit in that. It is accurate that it takes long to get to things that are it takes a long time for the game to get going, and it's one of the sticking points we have always kind of had about Final Fantasy 13 in that if you have to play a game for 30 hours to get to the good stuff, is it really a good game, you know? And
No.
I'm not and even if I love the narrative of Death Stranding, I can't say that it's a good game because it takes so damn long to get to anything interesting in the gameplay that for the casual audience or even just people who are, you know, interested in Kojima stuff, because I will tell you, from what I've heard of Death Stranding, it is the most Kojima thing you could ever buy, but that doesn't mean it's something you're going to love playing, because it is also the most Kojima thing you're ever going to buy, for better or worse.
Yeah, and other than that, some of the narrative concepts are also pretty interesting, like the time fall. I think that definitely could be a great game mechanic if done properly and do more than disrupt your packages. I feel like there's a lack of consequence in the game beyond losing your packages. Like, if this was going to be a narrative innovation experience, like, I feel like your success on this mission should affect the outcome of the game. But as far as I'm aware, there's only like one ending to the game, so it's just
and there's only one.
So if it had,
which is weird because there was rumors that there was multiple endings, but that didn't really come to pass.
This should have been the game to have multiple endings. This should have been the game that reflects on your whole experience, your journey, give you reason to suffer through again. Maybe the first playthrough you have one ending, then on New Game Plus you can skip all the bullshit in the beginning and just go straight. Pardon the language there, but
I don't think you have to worry about language there from some of the things me and you said to each other during the argument.
It just came out of nowhere, but yeah, if you can get through all that in the beginning and you can experience another branching path.
No. You know, it's not the fact that you say a swear word. It's mostly the fact that you just called the Hideo Kojima experience bullshit.
So, I mean, even I am one of the biggest Hideo Kojima fans out there, but like, it's fucking bullshit, dude. Some of the stuff like Metal Gear Solid 3 has photosynthesis as a healing device. What the fuck are you talking about, Kojima?
Wait, what?
And he's also telling us nukes are bad. Like, fuck off, Kojima.
We already knew that.
Yeah, I love it, but he drinks like 3 Monster Energy drinks in a row without dying. Like, fuck off. And then you can get into your shower and he's thinking, and there's an advertisement for Ride with Norman Reedus on the fucking shower. Like, what are you? What? Okay.
That reminds me of the time. Yeah, that reminds me of the time. Like, I think it was Metal Gear Solid 3 where he had that Mountain Dew T-shirt.
No, that's Peace Walker.
Peace Walker, yeah.
Yeah, he has Mountain Dew and Doritos in the game.
Yeah, I think he has a problem with advertisements. I think he has a problem with product placements.
A little bit. I mean, it's
the ultimate gamer meal.
You're definitely kind of right, but there's also just this thing about Kojima that's hard to explain. He's an enigma for a reason, and it's because some of the stuff is so fucking cheeky that it's like I almost can't get that mad about it because he does it in such a cheeky way to where he's advertising shit shamelessly, and he's also acknowledging that he's advertising stuff. It's weird, like all the Metal Gear Solid. It doesn't make it better, but I don't know if it makes it worse either, because there are just certain times where you're like enamored by the cheekiness. Like there's iPods and all that shit, and like the Doritos or the what's the calorie mates are a real thing for Metal Gear Solid 3. It's like there are other companies that do the shilling stuff, and you can tell how corporate it is. With Kojima, it's a little bit like that, but then he just takes what he's given and he does it so cheeky. Like it's like, am I really that mad? I'm not that mad, but it's crazy, you know? It's weird. So I think that's why a lot of people give Kojima a lot of credit and a lot of, honestly, defense. And you can argue whether or not he deserves that defense, but he's an enigma for a reason, because it's just a Hideo Kojima game is a Kojima game for better or worse, and that's all you can really say about them.
Yeah, and I remember reading his bio that he was more interested in making movies than games, but he just ended up in the game business.
Speaking of, Kojima Productions apparently reportedly will be making movies, so that's not a shocker.
So are they making that Metal Gear Solid movie then?
No, that's being made by a different director entirely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
Yeah.
yeah,
If
but
only.
I guess that thread is full circle now.
Yep.
It is. So yeah, that he is right. He has more enamoring for movies, and I don't know, man. There's something about his games that stand out so much, but then I don't know if he's gonna. I genuinely even look at Death Stranding. I don't know if he would be a good film director.
I think his strength's more in video games because that gives him a lot more time to dive into the characters, the world.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the movie, you're limited, like only like 2 hours, even 3. You know, there's only some movies that you can.
You can't tell a Kojima story in 3 hours.
Yeah, literally, yes.
So.
Even Avengers.
There's even too much. Yeah, you can't even expand on the lore of his games in 3 hours. There's just so much of it there.
Yeah, it's like trying to condense a Dark Souls lore into 10 minutes. You just can't do it.
Yeah, you just
The
can't
most that would fit for Hideo Kojima into a movie is the tanker chapter of Metal Gear Solid 2, and that's only 2 hours in the actual game.
And it also means very fucking little in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's telling you there. It's like I don't know, man. And that's why I think people are so mixed on Death Stranding and are like polarized, like we were here, kind of, because it's like people don't like this trying to be an interactive movie, and I can kind of see where they're coming from because
But then
it's
that's
weird on if it would work or not.
like Heavy Rain and Become Humans and Telltale Games, where you can argue those are interactive movies. Really, you just point, click, make a couple decisions, just watch a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah, and most of those are pretty fucking bad. So
Yeah, I mean, okay.
For better or worse.
The early Walking Dead games, the first season.
Season 1 was pretty good. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, season 1, like even Heavy Rain, as bad as the game could be at times. I think Detroit's a better game, so I think that would be a good sticking. Okay, Detroit. Let's go with Detroit then, because that is the slightly better game here.
Detroit the game, not the country.
Yeah, you did the game.
What? Hold on. Did you just say Detroit the country?
No, the city.
Detroit's a... yeah, good. Fucking idiot.
Country of Detroit.
Detroit the city, not to be confused with the country of Detroit.
The United
Okay.
States of Detroit.
That's like Chris. I just had to point that out because we were making fun of Chris at the very start, and Legon's been saying dumb shit ever since.
The United States of Detroit.
Detroit, the main appeal of Detroit is that, it's a very interactive medium where there's plenty of choices to make. And, it shapes the story. So that kind of makes up for the whole, there's not much action or shooting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That makes up for it because it's most about the narrative and making your choices. So that is the meat of the gameplay, is the choices.
Mm-hmm.
And with Death Stranding, if it had that, something similar to that.
Where your choices matter.
Yeah, where your choices matter. I think people would like it more because of it.
Yeah.
But because
finish your point, and then I'm gonna throw out kind of a curveball that makes sense to that point.
Yeah, and it's just like with the whole travel, I agree with the journey. There should be something added to that, like the choices and stuff like that. I feel like it would have made a better experience for everyone. Have multiple endings to give it more replay value, but it didn't for some reason. I find that odd that he did that for a guy who wants to do bizarre things. I find particularly he didn't do that.
Yeah, and my curveball point would be kind of that. It's a good point because at the end of the day, it's hard to say, oh, we hate interactive movie games. We hate games that we're not playing. It's like, I love like Fallout games and Outer Worlds, and you can shoot and there is combat in these games, but a lot of Fallout's appeal is that exact thing. You're going around talking to people. You're making choices. There are a lot of viable play styles in Fallout and Outer Worlds where you're not even shooting people. You're not going for combat. You're shooting like fucking rats on the floor most of the time. So that's an interactive movie in a sense. And it can be done really, really well. So I think the argument that interactive movies are a bad thing objectively in games is kind of a stupid one because there are plenty of games that are interactive dialogue, read your own adventure books or movies, and the choices matter in those games, and those are very solid games. I just think the option to not have a course where you can go a little more action gameplay. I think that's what that's what makes Metal Gear Solid such a fantastic series too, is you can go through and basically you don't have to kill a single person in a lot of those games past with MGS2 onward, and that's the choice. You can go in guns a-blazing, or you can go in you can even go in never fighting a person if you're good enough at the game. So I think that's where Death Stranding fails a little bit, is because it doesn't have that aspect to it. basically doing one plot thread. It just takes so damn long to get there. It's kind of a polarizing title over here.
Well, I guess with that we can wrap up this week's podcast. Like, I know that there's going to be a lot more thoughts that we haven't been able to come across, but
We
yeah,
can save them for the actual Game Award show itself.
Yeah, when it actually
we
happens,
agree
because
or
this is basically supposed to be just our predictions. It's not actually this is gonna
exactly.
it's not what actually happened.
Yeah.
That's also our blow up discussion about Death Stranding. We were kind of saving that for a few weeks.
So yeah, I would like to say on behalf of the TSR Bagocast that thank you so much for listening to this edition of the TSR Bagocast. That was so redundant. Don't even fucking mention it. And
Okay.
yeah, I am your
Bago.
host. I am your host for the week, Yule, and we'll see you guys later.
Peace out.
Also, low key, thanks Chris for joining us.
You're welcome.
You know, you're welcome back on any of them if you want. You know, you're
Hey,
welcome to hang out with
if
us.
you guys are doing it next week, I'm willing to join.
Just keep in contact, and we'll see you guys next week when I'll probably be back in control of the topics. My throat is burning. See you guys next week.
Probably take care of
All right,
that.
if you guys are